have some big breaking news happening right now. In an extremely rare move, the Florida Supreme Court has just stayed the execution of James Duckett until new DNA evidence is tested. Now, that means that the court has temporarily halted or postponed that execution from happening. There is a testing deadline, though, of 5 o'clock tomorrow. The former Mascot police officer was convicted in the rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl back in 1987. Duckett is the grandfather of Trenton Duckett. He's the 2-year-old who was reported missing in Leesburg. This was in 2006 and has never been found. Now, James Duckett was on Florida's death row at the time the toddler disappeared and is not a suspect in this case. James Duckett was scheduled to be executed by lethal injection at 6 o'clock next Tuesday evening. So again, a judge has stayed that execution until some new DNA
You don't see that
evidence.
happen.
It's very rare
all,
to happen here in Florida. Well, a lawsuit has now been filed over unsafe conditions at the Rialto apartments in Dr. Phillips that forced 350 people from their homes. This happened a week ago today.
So we were the first to tell you about this lawsuit at noon. I want to bring in investigator Mike DeForest, who was the one who found that lawsuit, figured out about it. So, Mike, there's one plaintiff we know about right now, but that could change.
Yeah, this is posed as a asking for a class action lawsuit. The belief being that it's not just the one tenant who filed this lawsuit here, but potentially more than 300 individuals who lived in that apartment complex who were forced out. And what this lawsuit basically alleges against the owners of the apartment is breach of contract. Hey, we all signed lease agreements to live here. We can't live here because we all got kicked out because the county has determined that the building may be unsafe. Separate from this lawsuit, we did find out today that the apartment complex has been sending letters to some of the tenants, in essence saying, guys, this may take a little bit longer than we initially thought, and it looks like they are at least considering helping some of those tenants either break their leases and permanently move out of there. We don't have those details yet. The apartment complex says those details will be coming in the next couple days. That's what they're telling the tenants, but that is on the heels of this lawsuit being filed today.
Okay, so last week, though, you did some digging and you found that there may have been some unpermitted work done at this complex?
Yeah, when Orange County building officials came over there, of course, to check out what the residents were reporting were the loud creaking and popping sounds, and you could see, and it's actually included in this lawsuit, there are photos they included in the lawsuit taken by the building inspector showing the cracks in the ceiling and the floor and the walls. While Orange County building inspectors were out there, they said, oh, by the way, we noticed you didn't get a permit for this retaining wall on a dog park.
Okay.
But then also no permits on stucco. Now there's no implication that stucco was used to cover up cracks and maybe hide it intentionally or unintentionally. But that's definitely one of the questions is why was that stucco work done and why didn't you get a permit for it? But that is, again, side to all of this, which is this lawsuit being filed a week after residents have now been forced out of that and no signs of them being allowed to go back.
All right. Am I to also understand, though, in the lawsuit, because one of the things we mentioned is like, oh, at least they're helping the tenants with some additional funds and they can find a place to stay. They were writing $1,000 checks that bounced?
This lawsuit alleges that the apartment owners were writing $1,000 checks to help folks out. Not only is the plaintiff alleging, well, that's basically an admitting that there's a problem, but also the fact that they're claiming that, yeah, these checks have been bouncing according to this lawsuit.
Okay, a lot more to learn on this one and a lot of people out of a home. Mike DeForest, I know you'll stay on top of it for us.
Mike.
Thank you. Meanwhile, we are learning more about another apartment building having some issues along those same lines. Let's take a look at this. We had a crew at Pebble Creek at Lake Mary Apartments yesterday. There were more than 80 units evacuated due to structural concerns with a number of staircases. We got our hands on findings from Seminole County today. It found nearly every stairway in the building. Second floor landings and raised floor system showed signs of inadequate maintenance, disrepair, and deterioration due to age. Many of them weren't even properly attached to buildings. It also found issues beyond the stairs. Water found seeping into exterior wall systems and inside units, damage, lack of maintenance on most of the buildings, and work actively being done without required permits. The county says all 85 units have to remain empty until the county says enough issues have been resolved. News 6's Mike Valenti, our other Mike, picks up his coverage on the apartment coming up at 5 o'clock, but definitely something we're starting to see here as these cracks develop in some of these local apartment complexes.
It's just kind of weird to have two happen so close together, not so far apart.
Yeah, very true. Well, we're always interested in the stories that you are checking out online. It really tells us what you're interested in. And by far, what you are clicking on the most is a threat from the State Attorney General's office.
Yeah, we started hearing about this one late yesterday evening. AG James Uthmeyer sending a notice to the NFL demanding the league put an end to its so-called Rooney rule. That requires teams to interview minority candidates for head coaching and some front office jobs. And a lot of you find this really interesting, so much so that you are sounding off on our website, clickorlando.com. Adam says you still have to get in the door, and NFL jobs have bona fide occupational requirements. Brian says cities like St. Louis, San Antonio, Austin, Salt Lake, and Raleigh would all love to have Florida's 3 NFL teams. And David says it's not like they need to be worried about the insurance crisis for property owners. So a lot of you have a lot to say, and because of what you're saying, it dictates how we cover the day's news. So when we saw that that was getting a lot of traction and you're very interested in it, we're like, wow, there's more to this.
Maybe we should put a really good reporter on it. So News 6's Jarrell Baker joins us now. Jarrell, you spoke with a political expert, a political science expert on this today. What are they telling you about it?
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for saying I'm a really good reporter. I
the
appreciate
truth.
that.
We speak the
I
truth.
I got one fan here. So, but when it comes to just that, he was telling me, as far as this process, we see a lot of attorney generals do situations like this. They call out the big companies, and especially when it comes around the time for an election year. Uthmeyer's up for a state election, and he said that that's kind of something that correlates what you see with a lot of other people. When you see Ken Paxton, who was attorney general and called out a lot of big companies over in Texas and whatnot. But as far as this actually being done and seeing how this goes, that's a little bit of a process. He called out Starbucks last year for similar practices, and then also called out Microsoft as well and sent a letter to them as well. So this is something that's a trend for him and during this time, but at the same time, as far as something actually changing,
Look, when you start talking about the NFL, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs.
That you are, but sending out a letter is one thing. An actual lawsuit is another thing, and I don't think those other ones really ended up with any actual lawsuits, right?
And that's basically what they're pretty much saying. It's just that, it sounds nice. It calls a big name. A lot of people pay attention to it. I had my friends and everybody hit me up about this as well, too. But does this actually go anywhere? It seems like it's just a candy.
I think it's doing what he intended to do, and it's get everyone talking about it. You're talking about it on clickorlando.com.
We're talking about it
now. Covering
now.
it as a story. Yeah, exactly. All right, and you'll be talking about it a little bit more later on in some of our shows.
Oh, yeah, a little bit later.
All right, Jarrell,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the DOJ is taking a local theme park to court. This all has to do with United Parks and Recreation's ban on wheeled walkers. The company runs SeaWorld. The lawsuit alleges the policy violates the American with Disabilities Act. UPR says the ban stems from misuse and safety-related incidents, and because of the park's varying pathways and terrain, anyone who came with non-permitted device can get approved alternative for free, though. But feds say all guests must have equal access regardless of ability, and the lawsuit seeks to force UPR to stop discriminating against people with disabilities, to change policies, and to be ADA compliant and train staff on this issue properly. United Parks and Recreation just got back to us about 30 minutes ago. They say they disagree with the claims and will respond through the legal process. They also say that they believe their approach is consistent with ADA requirements and reflects their commitment to provide a safe and inclusive experience. When we first heard about this story, and this is not the first time we're hearing about it, we didn't know what those wheeled walkers were, and they're saying that people are abusing it. Some people don't need it, but you get preferential treatment if you have one.
You get to go to the head of the line,
exactly,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
That's always an issue that you can look out for at those theme parks. Let's switch gears now to a big concern for law enforcement. It is human trafficking, and it turns out Florida ranks 3rd in the U.S. for reported cases.
You don't want to be on that list, and you certainly don't want to be that high on the list. Today, Osceola County hosted a community training to help people be able to prevent and recognize and even respond to human trafficking. Your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, shows us how they did it.
Right now in your community, there's likely someone who is the victim of human trafficking. Every single year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide. On Thursday, Osceola County held a training session to teach the community the signs and equip them with the knowledge needed to help people who are being exploited. To put on this free workshop, the county partnered with One More Child, a nonprofit that helps struggling families and children.
As a survivor of human trafficking myself, this carries a whole different kind of weight of importance to me. And knowing that people that are in exploitation no longer have to figure out a way out by themselves, but that we're equipping an entire community of people that will be ready to listen to them, believe them, and connect them to the right places.
The United Nations reports that worldwide, 77% of all victims are in forced labor, 23% are in sex trafficking, 57% are men and boys, and 43% are women and girls. This aimed to give people the tools to identify human trafficking and the tactics to help combat it.
So whether we're out at the grocery store, whether we're enjoying our theme parks or, just enjoying our day-to-day activities, we may be able to recognize the signs and help connect folks to the resources.
One big issue discussed is that a lot of people don't recognize the different types of trafficking. Littleton's own experience was nothing like what she thought human trafficking was, so it was hard to identify, which is why trainings like this are so important.
We are working really hard at changing the narrative and busting the myths that human trafficking does not look like the movie Taken, right? Instead, it looks like individuals that are in our community, that we really need to start seeing the signs and connecting them to resources because human trafficking is happening here.
I'm your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
That's interesting. Forced labor is not what a lot of people expect from human trafficking. I was a little surprised to hear that myself. All right, well, I know you're feeling it. Many of us are. It is expensive at the gas pump right now.
It sure is. What's being done and what you can do to help those who drive for a living.
rising gas prices are affecting a lot of things, including for food delivery services. I'm your community correspondent, Troy Campbell, and right now we're in the back of a DoorDash vehicle while that driver is making those deliveries, and they tell us that the rising price of gas is affecting their bottom line. How do you start it? What do you do?
You just hit dash now and it immediately starts. It shows you the hot spots, so areas where there's a lot of restaurants that people are actively using.
Lexi Steyer says she only started delivering food for DoorDash recently, and already the rising gas prices are cutting deeply into her profits.
I saw the prices because I always keep an eye on them anyway. That was one of my first thoughts was, man, I just started DoorDashing and really enjoying it, and now that's going to be an extra layer to that because I already am always thinking about the prices when I do it and constantly like, is this worth it?
Minutes later, an order popped up on the app and she accepted to pick it up. On the way to the restaurant, I told her about DoorDash's new emergency gas relief program, something she says she was unaware of. What are your thoughts that DoorDash, says gas is up, we're going to launch a quote emergency relief program to ease the impact of rising prices at the pump for Dashers and keep more money in their wallet. The program includes 10% cash back on gas for U.S. Dashers using DoorDash Crimson Card and weekly relief programs for Dashers who drive 125 miles or more while dashing. It'll start from $5 up to 250 miles, get $15 back per week towards gas.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that myself yet until today. I think that's definitely something that they should do, that they kind of know they have to do for their drivers if they want to keep their drivers out on the road.
Well, riding in the back of Lexi's car while she's picking up those DoorDash orders, she tells us she's constantly keeping an eye on her gas gauge as she's making those deliveries. Soon after, we arrived at the home.
Thank you. They tipped $2 and DoorDash Pay was $5.50.
Lexi says tipping now is more important than ever.
Yeah,
It really affects their income.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think that goes back to just making sure you add just something of a tip. Just if you can't do much, just kind of seeing zero there, it just kind of says like, oh, I don't care.
What are you hoping for going forward when it comes to, the prices at the pump?
I just hope they don't stay like this forever or go up too extremely high.
And drivers say if the price of gas continues to rise, they hope that food delivery services like DoorDash will continue to offer incentives so they can offset some of those costs. In Seminole County, Troy Campbell, News 6.
All right, well, tipping is controversial sometimes, but if somebody drives something to your house,
Oh my gosh,
I hope
please,
you're tipping them.
please give them
They
a
need it,
nice,
yeah.
nice tip. Well, still to come, what experts say is contributing to debt for more and more people these days.
And how one retailer is using AI at the checkout. We'll talk about that coming up.
I'm News 6 anchor Louis Bolden. Gap is stepping up its online shopping experience, and there's some new data on the toll student loans are taking on borrowers' credit. Let's get over to Maribel Aber and today's Money Matters. And Maribel, it all has to do with those delinquent payments.
It sure does, Louis. Student loan delinquencies are dragging down the average credit score for Americans. That's according to this new report from credit scoring company FICO. And what it says is that the average national score is now 714. That's down 2 points from last fall, with missed student loan and mortgage payments really driving that decline. By category, Gen Zers between 18 and 29 saw one of the steepest declines, losing an average of 50 points. That decline could continue as that same group holds the highest percentage of newly opened credit cards. Now, FICO scores are used by most lenders to determine who qualifies for a loan and at what rate. Louis.
And Gap shoppers will soon be able to use AI to shop.
So clothing brand Gap, Louis, has partnered with Google to enhance its online shopping experience with Gemini AI. The advanced tech will allow shoppers to make purchases directly within the chatbot using Google Pay. It'll also provide apparently faster, more accurate product information. A tool to provide personalized sizing information is also planned for a later rollout. An exact launch date wasn't revealed, but Gap executives have told media outlets it will be soon. Now, Louis, the real game changer here is fit accuracy. Like if AI can actually understand your shape and how fabric moves, like how jeans or a swimsuit's gonna fit my body, that's gonna make virtual shopping start to make sense. You don't have to try on 50 pairs.
That'll make a major difference. Listen, it is getting easier and easier to spend your money. Maribel, thank you so much. Remember, to get the latest money and consumer news anytime, just head to clickorlando.com.
I don't know if I want the Gap having my shape on file. I'd rather have my fingerprint, I think.
They got it all. Okay. Well, a South Florida sea turtle hospital is getting some help from SpaceMat to track some of the animals once they're released back into the wild. This is pretty incredible. The Loggerhead Marine Life Center near Palm Beach just released a Kemp's Ridley turtle named Amelie. She was getting care after losing her right forelimb, which the team thinks was because of a shark bite. The center is particularly interested in how amputees are doing, and they're using satellite tracking devices glued to these turtles, the shells, and that's how they follow them. Now, Amelie's release was also a big deal since the team says she's developing eggs.
They've been through a lot. They've gotten a lot of medical care here, and to see them be able to go back out and contribute to the population is really rewarding.
Okay, I hope they don't make fun of her for having her little transmitter on her back.
You think she's going to get bullied for her antenna?
This is the fourth amputee turtle being tracked by the center. Another has traveled nearly 700 miles since being released in January. And I think they always come back to wherever they lay their eggs. They just swim hundreds and hundreds of miles.
And then they know exactly
they know.
how to get back.
It's incredible. I'm glad they're
This is
keeping
wild.
track of them, yeah.
Very cool. I'll be interested to hear all about her. She should have a Twitter handle or something. All right, after the break, we're asking you how you would run Sunrail since local governments are starting to have a bigger say in that.
Be prepared for some of the answers. And ahead on the news at 4 o'clock, a man accused of ramming his car through an airport gate will stay behind bars. Why a judge says it's for his own good.
Coming up in the morning, honoring our local veterans, the new permanent memorial set to be unveiled in one Central Florida city.
Plus, a big step towards NASA's next mission to the moon. What's next for the Artemis 2 crew?
Join us for News 6 Morning starting at 6.
Well, welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock, everybody. A Lake County couple on the hook for hundreds of dollars in tolls.
So here's the problem. The SUV running up all the violations, it's not actually their SUV.
That's a problem.
That is the issue. Let's bring in investigator Erica Briguglio. So,
Okay.
Erica,
I
tell
don't
me-
want to pay someone else's
No,
tolls.
that's not my job.
We already don't even want to pay our own tolls.
Exactly.
So in this particular case, this family, they drive a red Volkswagen SUV, if we can take the video. This is what their car. This
Okay,
is their
that's
car.
their car.
They purchased that last March. So a few months ago, they start getting these toll by plate invoices in the mail. And for those who don't know, toll by plate is you don't have a transponder.
Right.
So you drive through a toll plaza, camera takes a picture of your license plate, and then bills the registered owner of that car.
You get it in the mail.
You get it in the mail. So for her, she wasn't expecting these because the license plate on the car is not the license plate on their car. So, and I want to take a picture. We have another video. This
Okay, that's a lot
is on the
different.
invoice. Does not look like their car.
I mean, I don't want to say they're different, but they look nothing alike.
So the invoice it says Volkswagen, which is their vehicle,
Yes.
but then the license plate is different than what their car is, and also you can see the make and model is different. So she's kind of like, what's going on, right? She's been getting, right now she owes about over $500
Wow.
in tolls, she says, that are not hers.
And she didn't even drive on some of these roads,
No.
from what I understand.
The family, they live in Sorrento.
Okay.
These tolls are coming from eastern Orlando.
Okay.
So she is nowhere. She's like, that's not part of my commute.
I don't know where that place is, yeah.
I don't go that far. So first she called Central Florida Expressway Authority. They cleared the $500 worth of tolls, but now
Good.
she's still on the hook for about $500 in tolls for FDOT. She has tried to call FDOT for months, and we all know calling customer service can be frustrating. And
Fair.
she says either she calls, she's on hold for an hour, it hangs up, or she get in touch with the representative. So she contacted us. She was fed up. We reached out to the state. They are looking into this. We also reached out to the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, the state DMV, you would call it. They are also looking into this because we're trying to figure out how this happened.
And will it stop? Hopefully the bills don't keep coming, right?
Well, now she got a ticket in the mail.
Oh boy.
So now they're trying to fight this in court. So hopefully we can resolve this issue before it gets to that point.
Have to feel for her.
okay. And I
Yeah.
know you guys you'll stay in touch with her to figure out how it's actually resolved. Hopefully you can get a resolution
Yes,
for
we
her.
will continue to follow up with the state and hopefully we get some answers and we get a resolution for her
hope
as
so.
well.
But
Erica.
good job on the side-by-side comparison of the cars. No
That's a dead
comparison
giveaway
at all.
there.
I mean, they say a picture tells a story,
Yeah,
right?
that told it right there.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks,
Erica, good stuff.
Erica.
Thank you so much. All right, from the road, now let's take you to the railway because ownership in the Sunrail system is changing hands. You see, it was FDOT, but soon it's going to be 4 counties and the city of Orlando that are going to be managing this.
Okay, so today leaders are talking about how your tax dollars are going to be used to pay for it. Your Osceola County community correspondent Stephanie Rodriguez spoke to some riders about the changes they would like to see.
Sunrail's annual budget is over $110 million, and with local governments set to take full control by the end of next year, riders tell me they'd like to see some improvements. Since its first ride, Sunrail has been a lifeline for many.
It takes me an hour to get from my location on the bus, but on the Sunrail it's only 30 minutes.
From the start, FDOT has owned Sunrail, making decisions and setting budgets with state funding. But some people feel it's been limited. Right now, the Sunrail won't get you to the airport. It doesn't go to the attractions in Central Florida, and there are no routes on the weekend. Building the Sunshine Corridor to connect Sunrail to MCO and the attractions will cost over $4 billion. For normal operations, each government will pay a share of the cost based on ridership. To prepare for the transition, the soon-to-be owners have approved millions in funding to manage the rail system that goes from DeLand to Point Siena. Last year, Seminole County approved $11.5 million to cover its portion, and Volusia pledged $1.2 million. While it's going to take a lot of money to make major changes, riders want to see more options.
Maybe like one more ride, because sometimes I like to stay at campus to do extra stuff.
But they want to be kept in mind, especially when it comes to ticket prices.
You know, just think about like the everyday person going on the train.
As FDOT passes its final budget as owner of the Sunrail system, those local governments are continuing to figure out what their daily operations will look like, what improvements they'll even be able to make, and how they'll continue to come up with money for it, as FDOT will no longer be contributing. Reporting in Kissimmee, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
It's really going to be a whole new world as they figure out the budget for that. All right, well, 3 teens are arrested in a brazen robbery. This was on the other side of the state. Let me show you what happened here. The Lee County Sheriff's Office posted this video of a smash and grab at Fort Myers vape shop. This was around 3 Tuesday morning. Officials say they stole things from the store, money out of the register. Police say they drove off in a stolen car until it got stuck in this construction site in Cape Coral. It's about 30 minutes away. 2 of the teens, 17 and 14-year-olds, were arrested there. Another 14-year-old was found later that day riding a bike. The trio is facing burglary, grand theft, and fleeing and eluding charges. So these 14-year-olds are getting some big boy charges added to their record.
They're going to find out. That's not pleasant. It's not going to be fun for them. All right, let's stay in Lee County for a little bit longer. We're talking about deputies helping to rescue nearly a dozen people after a boat overturned. Body cam from the Lee County Sheriff's Office Marine Unit captured the moments deputies helped pull 11 people out of the water. So some Good Samaritans also helped rescue those people. All 11 were safely rescued, were taken to the hospital with what's being described as minor injuries. The boat apparently overturned due to large waves and high winds in the area, and it was eventually towed away. I'm trying to see if that's a boat that could handle 11 people, or should have handled 11 people.
I think I've probably had 11 on a pontoon boat before.
Okay,
but those pontoons, they can get a little wonky sometimes.
Maybe they were all sitting on one side. I don't know.
It's possible. Yeah, maybe
but they're going to be okay.
Yeah. All right. Hey, some more questions now being raised in the death of Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if you've heard about this, but this is interesting. So one of the guards working the night Epstein died in a New York prison has been asked to testify before the House Oversight Committee. So new details show a guard made a number of cash deposits into her bank account in the months surrounding Epstein's death. And this is really crazy. She Googled latest on Epstein in jail. That's a quote less than an hour before his body was found. What are the odds of that?
Interesting.
The guard has already been accused of sleeping on the job, even though she was supposed to check on Epstein every 30 minutes. The guard was scheduled to appear before the House committee today. That was postponed, but when that happens, we will certainly let you know because it
Every
is
time you get a
mysterious.
new nugget about this story, it is something it's unexpected, and that certainly is very curious.
It is an onion, for sure.
It really is.
Yeah.
Lots of layers there. All right, we've talked, speaking of something that has lots of layers, we've talked a lot about this lately and all the confusion that's being caused by the license plate and how you're supposed to keep everything visible. You know, you keep that little thing around it. You get it from it comes with your car sometimes from the dealer.
Yeah, I did a story about this, and some people actually are fighting criminal charges because of that little frame around your license plate. So Sophia Vitello is with our sister station in Jacksonville. She is looking at talking to an attorney behind this story.
The law is so vaguely written because it lacks definition. It lacks definition on what is a feature or a detail of a license plate. It lacks definition on what degree of interference causes the criminal behavior.
Anna Casada is a traffic attorney now challenging the law in court. Her company, Ticket Toro Law Firm, is suing Florida Sheriff's Departments to stop enforcing it. She says her team used AI to analyze cases statewide and found that the law is being enforced differently from county to county.
You have the counties coming out and saying it's all right to block the S in Sunshine State. Then in Broward, you have somebody that gets arrested for blocking the S in Sunshine State. The poor man has a panic attack. He's taken to jail.
Casada's law firm got involved after one of their clients, also in Broward, was leaving a dealership with a new car. Police pulled him over and handed him a criminal citation over a license plate frame the dealership gave him.
Now people are facing up to 60 days in jail, and a potential, obviously that's the maximum, and a $500 fine is the maximum. But that's what's at stake here, right?
3 months after the law went into effect, the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles sent out this memo addressed to all law enforcement agencies across the state of Florida. In it, the department says that as long as license plate frames do not block the plate number or the registration sticker, they're legal. I'll be following the case for you.
All right, very interesting. Well, it is tax return season, so the 3 things experts say you should probably do with that check. And you know, they're probably not going to be much fun.
Probably, because you said it, taxes. And also, we're talking about the upcoming rocket launch. How far away from the pad you will be able to hear and actually feel that launch when we come back.
Thursday evening traffic alert. You're going to need to make sure you're paying attention to this. It's going to be closures along the Florida Turnpike. You're going to see some stuff happening out there, so you need to make sure you're paying attention because you will be detoured at some point. So just be cautious as you're in the northern portions there. And then down here, I-4 between 528 and the Turnpike, those lane closures that we normally see. And then we've seen a full closure of the express lanes overnight as you're traveling westbound approaching 434. They've been really good at opening them up right before 5. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 Traffic Alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Bill Ray Nissan Longwood. We do it the right way.
All right, let's take you out live for a look at Daytona Beach. Look at all those people frolicking, I would say, not just in the sand, but they're in the surf.
They're really going for it.
They should. It really has been a lovely day. I always say today is a great day. If you don't have allergies and you have a convertible, you're also very lucky today.
Yeah, most of us are dry out there right now. Now, by the way, if you are heading to the beach, do keep in mind we have that elevated threat of rip currents, and then conditions will deteriorate even further for us this weekend as far as beach and boating. Here's what's happening for us right now. Again, most of us in those convertibles Ginger mentioned will be in good shape. Just a few isolated showers moving inland along our sea breeze. Here's a look at our radar estimates as far as rainfall totals over the past 24 hours. Not terribly impressive rainfall totals. Some areas in Volusia County picking up almost an inch of rain down near the Volusia County, Brevard County line. Now, we talk about this every Thursday. So every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, we get a new drought monitor. Ginger, I see you studying it closely.
My plants that I just put in the ground are shriveling.
Yeah, it's, not a good situation. There are no major differences between this week's and last week's drought monitor. We really weren't expecting to see that, but you'll notice all that red on the map. That shows us where we're talking about extreme conditions. So all of Central Florida really dealing with those dry conditions and those drought conditions. Now, here are numbers we get every afternoon. These are the Keach-Byram Drought Index numbers, and they tell us how much moisture is in the soil. So that's a good indication as far as if a fire were to start, how much fuel that fire has. When we get near 500, that's when things are pretty dicey, and that's when we typically see those burn bans. Yeah, so Polk County at 520, and notice the smaller numbers. So over the last 24 hours, we've actually seen our numbers creeping up just a little bit. Yesterday, Brevard numbers dropped because of the rain that we had seen, but now we're creeping back up in Brevard County at 490. So Brevard County still has a burn ban in place. Again, with those numbers staying close to 500, I don't anticipate that changing. And Orange County, remember, burning yard debris is always a big no. So unfortunately, no major rain in the forecast for us, Ginger. We'll keep it warm as we head into the weekend. A front moves into the area early Saturday. That brings with it a chance of a few showers Saturday and Sunday. But the big story this weekend will be the winds, thus the beach and boating conditions not the best.
But just hearing that there's a chance of rain, you get excited because we desperately need it.
Yes, and so, Candace always refers to the rain lottery. So 20% you could get in on the rain lottery. And of course, you can keep up with all of the changes and track rain at your house with our free News 6 weather app. Search WKMG in your app store.
All right, Julie, fun fact. Taxes are due in just under 2 weeks. But what should you do with your refund? Dollars and Cents correspondent Donovan Myrie asked an expert.
So far this year, the IRS has received nearly 70 million tax returns. And of those 70 million returns, more than 50 million taxpayers have received a refund, averaging about $3,600. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here to tell us to hit the pause button before spending that extra cash. Jill, I got my cash. I want to spend it. This sounds really counterintuitive.
I know. I'm sorry. I mean, first of all, I think when you get a refund, you have to remember that although you feel like you found money, it's your money, gang. You just gave Uncle Sam an interest-free loan for an entire year. That's a pretty lousy deal. So I encourage you, if you get a big refund, and we're talking $3,600 is a big refund, to keep more of that money throughout the year, use the irs.gov withholding estimator. Then you can adjust your withholding at work, and maybe if you're self-employed, you consider reducing your quarterly tax payments.
Okay, Jill, so what should people do with that cash on hand?
I would keep some of that extra cash just to make sure you absorb the shock that you're going to see at the pumps, because that's not going away very quickly. Then maybe you would consider addressing what I call the big three. Number one, fund an emergency account that can cover you if something bad happens, right? Your safety net, if you will. You're hoping to cover 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. Number two, reduce your credit card or other high interest debt. Interest rates are going to stay higher for a while here, gang. Paying off that high interest debt is really going to help you actually get it done faster. Number three, fund your retirement plan. Maybe increase your contribution, especially if you have not reached your match. If you don't have a plan through work, then maybe use that refund to open and fund a traditional or a Roth IRA.
And Jill, out of those big three, you really didn't touch on anything about homes. Should people use their tax returns to help pay down their mortgages. Is that a good idea?
It's like, oh, I feel so much better, the mortgage is going down. But this really depends on your interest rate. And so many homeowners have very low interest rates. More than half have loans under 4%. So really, let's think of it this way. You put that money down on your mortgage, but instead of doing that, if you invested it, my guess is that over time, you would probably earn more than that 4% mortgage.
Excellent advice, Jill, as usual. Thank you. You can see Jill regularly on CBS Mornings and the CBS Evening News. And for more analysis, head on over to JillOnMoney.com.
I got a problem with that. I got a refund. I put it in the stock market, and it's down.
Yeah,
I'm
just
down.
at just the
I'm
right
losing
time.
money by the minute.
Make better choices, Lisa.
All right, well, we are less than a week until the planned Artemis 2 launch from the Space Coast. And in case you haven't heard, an SLS rocket will carry 4 astronauts into space. From there, an Orion capsule will take them all the way around the moon.
All right, and that rocket we're talking about is much bigger than we're used to launching from the Space Coast. It's nearly 10 stories taller than the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy.
And you know, when things are bigger, they're usually louder. That's how it is in my case. Let's bring in Eric Von Anken, our investigator. He's joining us now. And
He's the loudest of us all.
Wow. She said that. I didn't say
And she's
that.
probably right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is possible. But he's also knows a whole lot about space. So this thing's going to be loud and could shake some houses, huh?
So probably. The answer to that is probably.
Yeah.
So I was out there. I think, Ginger, you were almost out there for the launch of Artemis 1, which is the same rocket. So this was in 2022. Ask me about that in a minute. I'll give you my opinion on how that compared. But I wanted to know, so based on the other rockets that have gone up, how loud could this one be? So, for example, the space shuttle, right? So many people went out for that. That puts out, I want to say, 5.3 million pounds of thrust upon liftoff. This puts out 8.8 million, so almost twice as much, and still more than the Saturn V rocket back in the 60s, right?
Sure.
So this should be the loudest rocket of all, right? So I talked to a really smart guy at FIT, Florida Institute of Technology. He says that 45 miles is potentially the limit for where you might actually hear this and feel this. So where, right? But there's conditions, I'll get to that.
Sure.
So where, right? So we're talking to Berry, potentially. That's 45 miles from the Kennedy Space Center, launch pad 39B. We're talking Lake Toho.
Well, that feels like a long ways.
I drew a line, 45 miles back, right, from the launch pad down to these places. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Palm Bay is about 45 miles. And get this one, if you live near downtown Orlando, it could extend 45 miles, comes to the edge of downtown Orlando. But here's the caveats, right? So 2 things. First of all, weather.
The weather's
It's
gotta be
clear.
nice. Yeah.
And also the wind has to be blowing in from the Atlantic to carry the sound. And the second thing is, we were talking about downtown Orlando, what's in between? So if you're deeper into downtown and there's buildings in between, it's not like trees.
Sure. Or there's
where
a
the
lot of
sound
other noise that's happening because this is going to be right in the
Yeah.
evening.
There you go. So now, how did Artemis 1 do? Right, based on all of this stuff, I can tell you it didn't go 45 miles in.
Okay.
I think it was probably a combination of those factors. To me, this is my opinion, it didn't really feel any louder than the space shuttle.
Okay.
But the point of what this professor says at FIT is it could, if everything lines
All
up.
the
If everything lines
atmospheric
up,
conditions
it's
are just
possible.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
good
imagine
stuff.
hearing a concert 45 miles away? Absolutely not. All right,
Depends what
Eric,
it is.
thank you.
Right.
And we'll be right back, everybody.
Thanks.
Well, she was a pillar in the Jacksonville community, known for her dedication to youth and promoting a healthy lifestyle, but she is now fighting for her life.
Yeah, her daughter spoke with Tarek Minor, who is from our sister station in Jacksonville, about her long and uncertain road to recovery.
And she had just brought in another group of young adults right before she got electrocuted, and they were so sweet.
Jayla Wyke is talking about her mother, Chef Lorna Lopez, a native New Yorker who dedicated her life in Jacksonville to making teenagers feel loved. Through philanthropy, nonprofit work, and grassroots community action focused on healthy foods, Lopez was on the brink of achieving one of her biggest goals.
Sound check and set up.
Chef Lopez was instrumental in bringing the Jacksonville youth together. She also rebuilt properties to create youth hospitality programs, which were going to provide culinary and retail training for teenagers, as well as job readiness initiatives.
I love you, Chef Lopez.
My baby! All those aspirations were cut short when Chef Lorna Lopez was severely injured in January after coming in contact with what her family says was a faulty stove in what she called the Yellow Bodega. She suffered a high-voltage shock. The completion of the Yellow Bodega project was significant to Lopez, who says in New York, bodegas served as safe spaces for kids without family. It's what Lopez wanted desperately to bring to North Florida.
Now she has seizures. Most of the time they're small, but every now and again, maybe twice a month, 2-3 times a month, they are really, really severe. She just had another one last night, so she can't move the left side of her body, and the left side of her face is paralyzed.
Her daughter Jayla says her mom planned to open 3 new locations in March.
Her passion has always been trying to take care of the youth that get lost in the shuffle, who don't have family, who maybe are foster kids, who are orphans. She's always trying to create a safe space for them.
With Chef Lopez now in the hospital, her daughter says the family had no other choice than to abandon her plans. Jayla says her mom, a woman who wanted to help so many people, is now in dire need of help herself. The high-voltage shock caused severe complications, including a stroke and long-term neurological care.
She's always been a humanitarian. She's always been a really big give-back person. She needs help. She's always the person who helps everyone.
Well, hopefully the community will rally around her for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, we're getting ready for News 6 at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, coming up on News 6 at 4, we're going to have team coverage on a story we've been following for about a week now. We're talking about that Orange County apartment complex where hundreds of families had to be evacuated. There's now a new lawsuit in that. News 6 at 4 starts right now.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
So you were doing all kinds of drugs and ran through a gate?
Yeah, and I crashed my car.
We are seeing the moments deputies arrested the man accused of crashing through an airport gate, raced across the runway, then tried to get into several planes.
I'm meteorologist Julie Broughton tracking some isolated sea breeze showers. I'll tell you who's seeing rain right now and when we can expect a cool down.
But first, at 4, we start with breaking news. In a rare move, Florida's Supreme Court is putting a man's execution on pause. It's all in response to court-ordered DNA testing not being completed.
James Duckett was scheduled to be executed on Tuesday for the 1987 murder of an 11-year-old girl. Duckett is the grandfather of Trenton Duckett, the 2-year-old who was reported missing in Leesburg in 2006, and he has never been found. James Duckett was on Florida's death row at the time the toddler disappeared and is not a suspect in the case. Documents show Duckett filed a motion for more DNA testing after his death warrant was issued. He claims the test results would provide newly discovered evidence that he is innocent. The state has to show the status of the testing no later than 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Today marks 1 week since people living at the Rialto were forced out of their apartments because of concerns about the building's structural safety.
Now the first lawsuit against the apartment building's owner has been filed. We have team coverage. News 6's Alex Cook is back at the neighborhood talking with people who are picking up their stuff. But first, News 6 investigator Mike DeForest is taking a look at this new lawsuit. Mike.
Hey, Lisa. Well, this lawsuit was filed by an evacuated tenant, and it accuses the owners of the Rialto of breaching her lease agreement since she can't live there anymore. The plaintiff believes there are many others in her position, so this lawsuit seeks class action status. Exactly 1 week after tenants of the Rialto were forced out of their apartments over structural safety concerns, this lawsuit has been filed against the building's owners. Adriana Swissa accuses Northland Rialto LLC and Northland Investment Corporation of breaching the terms of her apartment lease. Swissa says approximately 358 people were forced to leave all personal property in the apartment and had to find new housing, along with incurring relocation costs. The lawsuit includes these photos, which show cracks in the apartment building's exterior and interior walls, ceiling, and floors. Swissa accuses the building owner of violating Florida law that governs landlords. Defendants failed to comply with applicable building codes and failed to maintain the building, walks, foundation, and other structural components in good repair and capable of resisting normal forces and loads, the lawsuit alleges. Swissa notes that her complaint is being filed in the aftermath of the Surfside tragedy, a reference to the collapse of the Champlain Towers South condominium in South Florida nearly 5 years ago, which took the lives of 98 people. While there is currently no indication the Rialto is in imminent danger of collapsing, the lawsuit claims the apartment owner had a duty to ensure the safety of tenants. This lawsuit is seeking damages in excess of $50,000. Now, just moments ago, the owners of the Rialto sent me an email saying that the company is aware of this lawsuit that was just filed late last night, but it does not comment on litigation. Meanwhile, today, some people return to the Rialto to pick up their belongings. They're also getting an update from the apartment's management. News 6's Alex Cook joins us live from the complex off Sand Lake Road with that part of the story. Hey.
That's right. And the people that used to live here, they still have to continue on with their lives. They have work, they have school, they have kids and family that they all have to take care of, all while not being sure about where they're going to live. They're still coming here to the Rialto today. I've seen a steady stream of people coming through to pick up their personal belongings. They say they submit a list of what they need to the staff who goes into the apartments and brings it out for them out here in the parking lot. Now, that letter from management says that the engineers need more time to work, and so the Rialto is going to help residents find a new place to live. I spoke to someone today who said that the Rialto's suggestion about where to live doesn't work for her, and that being homeless is pretty tough.
You think like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until I get home. If you have a difficult day or whatever, even a vacation, sometimes you say, I can't wait to go home, but I don't have a home to come back. So it's been like really like crazy.
And here's that letter from the Rialto addressed to residents. It says the timeline for work is extended and they understand the uncertainty is unsustainable. They say to expect additional information about lease terminations and how the Rialto will assist in finding and relocating displaced people into new homes. Gomez told me one of the options offered was to move into an apartment complex near Lake Eola in downtown Orlando for the remainder of her lease. She says that doesn't work for her because her job and her 10-year-old son's school are all in this area. She credits the Rialto staff for good communication and for helping her get her belongings, but said that's the minimum they can do for her and her neighbors. And again, that letter from the Rialto management to residents says to expect more updates. So we're staying in touch with those residents about what the Rialto is telling them, and we'll pass that along as soon as we hear from it. And I will be out here all afternoon talking to people as they show up to pick up their belongings, and we'll have more for you on News 6 at 5 and 6. Live in Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
Still so many moving parts to this story. Alex, thank you. Just yesterday, we were telling you how crews had to evacuate 85 units at an apartment complex in Seminole County. It's happening at the Pebble Creek apartments near Lake Mary. The county says the issue came to light after a fire back in February. Today, News 6 obtained a report from the inspection. It found nearly every stair system showed signs of fatigue, lack of maintenance, and in many cases, the stairs were not properly attached to the buildings. They also found several issues with all of the buildings throughout this complex. News 6's Mike Valenti is taking a closer look at this report, and he will have the story on News 6 at 5 o'clock. Let's take you outside right now. This is our camera at Daytona Beach. Sea breeze showers are lingering through the afternoon.
Meteorologist Julie Broughton joins us now with what is going on, Julie.
Oh, yeah, that was a beautiful shot there in Daytona Beach. So as that sea breeze moves inland, we see clearing skies behind it. That's exactly what's going on. But you can see some isolated showers. Again, most of us are dry as we move through the 4 o'clock hour, but we are seeing some of those spotty showers moving out toward areas like Apopka, Deltona getting in on some rain as well as to land. All of these showers are generally pushing inland, pushing off toward the west for us. And so we'll see some of this beginning to move toward Altamont Springs and Zellwood. I do have the lightning detection data on, and we aren't seeing any lightning as of right now in any of these showers. So at the moment, really just some beneficial rainfall for those of us lucky enough to get some of it. Here's what it looks like for you right now over downtown Orlando. This is our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera, and you can see quite a bit of cloud cover, so we may see a few isolated showers moving into the downtown area. Sitting right now at 81 degrees in Orlando with winds coming in out of the east-southeast at 11 miles per hour. And most of us are hovering right around that 80-degree mark, although the farther west you are, you've been a little bit warmer. Right now, if you're in the Villages, you're sitting at 84 degrees. It is 82 in Claremont and 82 in Kissimmee. Now, we are tracking a front that will move into our area this weekend. That will bring some changes. So we'll talk more about that and break down the rest of your day for you hour by hour in minutes.
Julie, thank you. New video shows the moment deputies got to a man who they say crashed his car through a fence at the Daytona Beach airport, then drove onto the runway. Investigators say he then tried to get into multiple planes. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed has new details in this case and was in court for his first appearance.
A judge here at the Volusia County Jail called Brian Parker's actions at the airport on Wednesday extreme. The charges, and she said she was worried about his mental health, so she's not letting him out of the jail here on bond.
We're going to have some delays to the airfield at Daytona Beach.
Flights grounded, inbound planes stopped from landing.
Yeah, negative. There's some unauthorized vehicle on the airfield, and they're trying to track him down.
What's the deal, man?
I don't remember.
All 58-year-old Brian Parker told deputies he could remember.
I went to an AA meeting, and next thing I know, I'm doing cocaine, drinking, and smoking pot.
Deputies say Parker drove his Mustang through a gate at the Daytona Beach International Airport Wednesday afternoon before driving through an active runway, almost hitting a taxiing Embry-Riddle plane. They say he then jumped out of the car and tried to get into the plane. And when that failed, he lunged for another aircraft. A technician pulled him away. Deputies say he ran again before they finally caught him.
What is my car doing over there?
Put it over there, kid.
What gate did I go through? I don't know. I don't know either.
Parker facing a Volusia County judge in jail today for a first appearance.
We'd have the court to set a bond of $400,000.
But the judge denied bond. Parker is charged with 5 felonies, including aircraft piracy, DUI, and trespassing.
Say, I know I was at my house and people started chasing me. Hey!
Now again, for everything deputies say he did, the airport employees told us it only lasted about 30 seconds. The judge here today said this was Parker's 3rd DUI incident in the last 10 years. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Molly, thank you. President Trump said he would give a 5-day delay on an order to strike Iran's power plants so that negotiators could find a deal. That was on Monday. Today, the president says if Iran does not agree to a deal soon, there will be, quote, no turning back, and it won't be pretty. The president called Iranian negotiators, quote, strange, saying they are begging for a deal in private while publicly denying it. Iran's denials continued today, with the foreign minister telling state media that no negotiations have taken place, but admitted that sometimes messages get exchanged through friendly countries.
We have, along with your foreign policy team, presented a 15-point action list that forms the framework for a peace deal. This has been circulated through the Pakistani government.
President Trump also revealed the gift he says he received from the Iranian delegation his administration is negotiating with, 10 oil tankers allowed to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. And now let's get a look at those gas prices. It seems to be sitting steady today. The average price now at just over $3.88 a gallon in Florida. That is a little bit less than last week when it was $3.95 a gallon. And now to a look at the closing bell. Today, stocks down quite a bit. U.S. stocks have their biggest loss since the war with Iran started. The S&P dropped nearly 2% today. It was pretty ugly on Wall Street. The Dow down about 469 points. NASDAQ down 2.38%. Now, the index, the S&P, is headed for a 5th straight losing week, which would be the longest such losing streak in almost 4 years. After a divided vote, a new church gets the green light in a rural community.
Neighbors say it could change everything: traffic, roads, and what comes next.
Plus, NASA's moon rocket could launch in about a week with astronauts on board. Why you may hear it even if you do not live along the coast. That's next.
Today, we're getting busy at Black Hammock Bee Farm. Let's go check it out. Meet Beth and Dennis Langlois from Black Hammock Bee Farm, a family business dedicated to saving bees, making honey, and teaching people how to be beekeepers.
We started out with bee removal, and as a result, we bring back so many bees to the farm. We have so many bees, so we produce a lot of honey, and so now we have approximately 500 colonies of bees. We produce a ton of honey, and we do classes and tours and all kinds of fun stuff.
Want to see how you can get busy with the bees? Go to clickorlando.com/insider to watch the full episode right now. And while you're there, make sure to nominate your favorite teacher for the New 6 Educator of the Week Award, sponsored by Osborne Francis and Pettis Law Firm.
Well, as of right now, the launch of the world's most powerful operational rocket is potentially just a week away. Less than that. This is a live look now at the SLS rocket on launch pad 39B. The Artemis 2 mission will take 4 astronauts around the moon and deeper into space than anyone has gone.
The roar and rumble of the rocket's engines will shake the Space Coast, but as News 6's Eric Von Enken found out, you don't need to be in Brevard County to catch all the sights and sounds.
Now we're talking about distance. There are a lot of other variables to consider. We'll talk about those in a minute. But for right now, the distance from where I'm standing here at Crane's Roost in Altamont Springs is exactly 45 miles from here to the launch pad where that mega rocket is sitting. And one rocket scientist we talked to about this thinks that that distance might just be close enough to hear it.
And liftoff.
Program, Houston. The space shuttle, the most complex but not the most powerful human-rated spacecraft ever built, still rumbled and roared off the launch pad and shook the parking lot at the Kennedy Space Center so hard that car alarms went off. The sound of the shuttle traveled as much as 35, even 40 miles inland if the wind was right.
I would expect that the SLS would be, go a few more miles, maybe another 5 miles or so. So, let's say 45 miles. The rocket would be well into the sky by the time the initial sound would be heard that distance.
Florida Tech Associate Professor of Aerospace Engineering, Dr. Mark Archambault, says it is theoretical, but it's possible that the sound of the SLS could reach as far as 45 miles away from Launch Pad 39B. Drawing a straight line from 39B, that's right at the edge of downtown Orlando. It's also 45 miles to DeBerry and the edge of Orange City. St. Cloud is 46 miles away, Daytona Beach is 45 miles, and so is Grant Valcaria, just south of Palm Bay.
It sounds like you're saying it's possible if everything lines up. If you were in maybe downtown Orlando on top of a building where nothing was obstructing you, where you could actually see it, you might be able to hear it there, maybe?
You'd have to listen very carefully. It's not going to be something that it's going to be obvious. It's going to be, especially in the city.
Because any surrounding noise would probably drown out the faint sound of the rocket. It also matters what is between you and the launch pad. In other words, buildings are going to react differently than trees. Your best bet may be go up high in an apartment building to get a clear line of sight. And then we need to hope that the weather holds so you can actually see it as well as hear it.
In Altamont Springs, Eric Von Enken, News 6.
All right, I'm guaranteed to see it, feel it, hear it, everything.
Yeah.
We're going to be out there live covering this whole shebang, and it's going to be exciting.
I think Julie and I will be here in Orlando, and our chances will go up if the skies are, well, for everyone, if the skies are clear, right? Because we need nice weather to begin with.
Yeah,
yes.
of course.
So hopefully we'll get to experience a little bit more of just seeing it.
Yes, we will see what happens next week, right? Now, here's what's happening for us right now. And as we head into the weekend, we are tracking a few isolated showers right now. As we head into tomorrow and Saturday, we're going to continue that warming trend we've been seeing, but we are keeping some isolated showers in the forecast. Of course, you can always track those changes with our free News 6 weather app. Just search WKMG in our app store. Now, as we head into the weekend, we're tracking a front on Saturday. This moves in early on Saturday. It will really pick up the winds for us, also bring us a chance of rain and cooler temperatures by Sunday. So here's a look at our satellite and radar imagery. You can see with high pressure kind of centered right over us, that is keeping things quiet. There is our next front, again, still well to our north. As we head into the weekend, let's jump ahead to 7 o'clock Saturday morning. That's when that front will be moving right into central Florida. Now it drops to our south, but behind that we see those strong winds picking up out of the northeast, gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour, and that will tap into that moisture out over the Atlantic and bring us some low top showers, I think, especially late Saturday and into Sunday. And then on Sunday, we'll see our highs staying in the low 70s, so about a 10-degree difference from what we've been seeing. Here's the radar for us right now as we are sweeping out. Most of us are dry, but we are seeing a few of those isolated showers right along I-4 going from the DeLand area down through Orange City and back down toward Lake Mary. As we take you through the evening hours, we'll continue to see any isolated showers pushing to the west. Overnight, I think most of us stay dry. We are looking for the potential of some patchy fog again tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, we'll again be tracking that 20 to 30% chance of some of those sea breeze showers. Here's what it looks like for you right now at our Launch Credit Union camera out at Port Canaveral. Really cool there, checking out that cruise ship. Wouldn't it be nice to be on a cruise ship right now? 79 degrees right now in Brevard County with plenty of sunshine. 81 in Orlando, you're at 84 in Wildwood, and 84 in the Villages. Now, here's your hour-by-hour forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson.
Okay, everyone look at your TV and check out Bo, Gracie, and Marley. This picture definitely does not involve AI. I know that they are posing in all those wonderful outfits for us. 78 degrees at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 75 degrees. Make sure you head to clickorlando.com/pins. Share all your pet photos with us so we can share them with everyone else. Overnight tonight, against the chance of some patchy fog, 65 for your low in Orlando, 61 in Ocala, and 64 in Mico. 7-day forecast showing we go even into the upper 80s in some spots tomorrow. Saturday, rain chances at 30%, especially late Saturday. Then behind that front on Sunday, 76 for your high before warming back into the low to mid 80s as we move into next week.
All right, Julie, thank you. Since its first ride, Sunrail has been a lifeline for many people.
It takes me an hour to get from my location on the bus, but on the Sunrail, it's only 30 minutes.
Your tax dollars may soon keep the train going. What that means for weekends, airport service, and the price you pay. Next.
Sunrail will soon be in the hands of local governments. I'm your Osceola County community correspondent Stephanie Rodriguez reporting here at the Tupperware station in Kissimmee. Osceola County is one of the 4 counties that will be taking control of Sunrail by the end of 2027, along with Volusia, Orange, and Seminole, and the city of Orlando. Right now, FDOT is the owner, and they're passing its final budget as the owner of Sunrail before local governments take over. Since its first ride, Sunrail has been a lifeline for many.
It takes me an hour to get from my location on the bus, but on the Sunrail it's only 30 minutes.
From the start, FDOT has owned Sunrail, making decisions and setting budgets with state funding. But some people feel it's been limited. Right now, the Sunrail won't get you to the airport. It doesn't go to the attractions in Central Florida, and there are no routes on the weekend. Building the Sunshine Corridor to connect Sunrail to MCO and the attractions will cost over $4 billion. For normal operations, each government will pay a share of the cost based on ridership. To prepare for the transition, the soon-to-be owners have approved millions in funding to manage the rail system that goes from DeLand to Point Siena. Last year, Seminole County approved $11.5 million to cover its portion, and Volusia pledged $1.2 million. While it's going to take a lot of money to make major changes, riders want to see more options.
Maybe like one more ride, because sometimes I like to stay at campus to do extra stuff.
But they want to be kept in mind, especially when it comes to ticket prices.
You know, just think about like the everyday person going on the train.
As FDOT passes its final budget as owner of the Sunrail system, those local governments are continuing to figure out what their daily operations will look like, what improvements they'll even be able to make, and how they'll continue to come up with money for it, as FDOT will no longer be contributing. Reporting in Kissimmee, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Florida now ranks 3rd in the country for reported human trafficking cases.
The warning signs experts say too many people miss, and what to do if you see them. That's coming up. Plus,
a hurdle has been cleared for a large church campus to be built here. Coming up, we'll share what those in the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement had to say and those possible plans.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now. In an extremely rare move, the Florida Supreme Court just paused the execution of James Duckett until new DNA evidence is tested.
Yeah, there is a testing deadline of 5 p.m. tomorrow. The former mascot police officer was convicted in the rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl in 1987. James Duckett was scheduled to be executed by lethal injection at 6 Tuesday evening. It has been 1 week since tenants of the Rialto in Orange County were forced out of their apartments because the building has been deemed unsafe. Now, the first lawsuit against the apartment building's owner has been filed. The lawsuit seeks damages exceeding $50,000. A new video shows the moment Volusia Sheriff's deputies got to a man they say crashed his car through a fence at the Daytona Beach airport, drove onto the runway. Investigators say Brian Parker tried to get into multiple planes. Parker is charged with 5 felonies, including DUI, trespassing, and aircraft piracy. A judge denied him bond today.
After much debate in Winter Garden, a new church is now set to go in a rural area. It is set to be built along McKinney Road in West Orange County. The decision came with a lot of mixed opinions. Your West Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton spoke with neighbors about the change coming to the area.
Well, take a look at all of this land with the church getting approved to be built on it. We heard a number of concerns about the size, the possible traffic, and what it could also mean for the future of this community. It's the peace and quiet of open space that draws people to this rural community.
I lived here for 7 years, and now I'm a property owner here. And we purchased out here, we invested out here specifically for the character that it has and that it brings.
But in the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement, this week's Orange County Commission vote has some worried changes coming.
To destroy that character when the county has committed to us that they will preserve it damages the value that I bought.
In a 5-2 vote, the board approved Discovery Church's request to build a religious institution on this unaddressed location along McKinney Road, but reduced the size from about 45,000 to 42,000 square foot.
The building is still the size of a big box store. It's hard to swallow. It's going to be very difficult to make that fit work. And
I believe the church made a really significant effort and time and also, financial challenges to change the plan.
After being denied in 2022, the church says it met with many community members and made changes, including one main building and adding green space.
Preserving a piece of area behind the church, then putting in a big landscaping buffer, making a lot of the property not built at all on. The size was always the one bone of contention.
They've listened to neighbors, heard our concerns, and looked for ways to grow alongside us, not over us.
However, size and traffic remain concerns.
And you see the roads out here, many of them are dirt. They are not built for that kind of volume.
The traffic is in that Sunday morning window when services are on, and our turnover is pretty fast.
Some also worry this could open the door to more development.
Approving even one mega facility will have far-reaching consequences. It will trigger additional applications.
And those with the church say with the changes made to the square foot in the hearing that before permits and construction starts, they're really committed to making those adjustments and talking more with the community. Reporting for News 6, I'm your West Orange County community correspondent, Tylisa Hampton.
In Volusia County, a part-time prisoner transport deputy accused of stalking and tracking his ex is behind bars. Volusia Sheriff's deputies arrested James Kleeman last night. VSO says the victim found air tags in her and her daughter's cars going back to last year, and that Kleeman had been showing up to where she was several times even after they broke up. Kleeman is facing charges of stalking and unlawful installation of a tracking device. He is being held on no bond.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife faced a judge in federal court in New York City today. They are facing drug trafficking and narco-terrorism charges and have previously pleaded not guilty. Bradley Blackburn is outside the courthouse with the latest.
A federal judge in New York Thursday refused to dismiss charges against former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife after Maduro's lawyer argued the U.S. is violating Maduro's rights by not allowing him to use Venezuelan government funds for his legal defense.
Hands up! Venezuela!
This was Maduro's first court appearance since his not guilty plea in January to drug trafficking and narco-terrorism charges. President Trump said Thursday he expects Maduro to face even more charges.
That was a big charge that hasn't been brought yet. It should be brought. He emptied his prisons into our country and was a major purveyor of drugs coming into our country.
Groups of demonstrators, both for and against Maduro, rallied here outside the courthouse during the hearing.
80% of my people in my country is expecting and waiting for the United States do what they have to do to sentence this guy to the maximum they can do.
We are standing in solidarity with the Venezuelan people who on the ground are defending their democratically elected president.
This is one more U.S. coup, one more U.S. kidnapping, one more U.S. war.
Law enforcement sources tell CBS News that since his January arrest, Maduro has been kept under special administrative measures at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn in a secure unit for the most high-risk detainees. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Human trafficking remains a critical issue in our community, and right now, Florida ranks third in the U.S. for reported cases. Today, Osceola County hosted community training to help people be able to prevent, recognize, and respond to human trafficking. Your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, was there.
Right now in your community, there's likely someone who is the victim of human trafficking. Every single year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide. On Thursday, Osceola County held a training session to teach the community the signs and equip them with the knowledge needed to help people who are being exploited. To put on this free workshop, the county partnered with One More Child, a nonprofit that helps struggling families and children.
As a survivor of human trafficking myself, this carries a whole different kind of weight of importance to me. And knowing that people that are in exploitation no longer have to figure out a way out by themselves, but that we're equipping an entire community of people that will be ready to listen to them, believe them, and connect them to the right places.
The United Nations reports that worldwide, 77% of all victims are in forced labor, 23% are in sex trafficking, 57% are men and boys, and 43% are women and girls. This aims to give people the tools to identify human trafficking and the tactics to help combat it.
So whether we're out at the grocery store, whether we're enjoying our theme parks or, just enjoying our day-to-day activities, we may be able to recognize the signs and help connect folks to the resources.
One big issue discussed is that a lot of people don't recognize the different types of trafficking. Littleton's own experience was nothing like what she thought human trafficking was, so it was hard to identify, which is why trainings like this are so important.
We are working really hard at changing the narrative and busting the myths that human trafficking does not look like the movie Taken, right? Instead, it looks like individuals that are in our community, that we really need to start seeing the signs and connecting them to resources because human trafficking is happening here.
I'm your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Taking a live look now at Camping World Stadium in downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam. A heads up, you can expect to see a lot of traffic in that area. The city is also warning about road closures because of a big soccer match tonight at Camping World Stadium. Colombia and Croatia are facing off in an international friendly ahead of the 2026 World Cup. The game starts at 8, but some of the road closures around Camping World Stadium already started more than an hour ago. That includes Long Street and Rio Grande Avenue. The city will be running free shuttle service both before and after the game to parking garages downtown.
A new waste management recycling facility is now open right here in Central Florida. It's to handle hundreds of thousands of materials in circulation each year. A ribbon cutting ceremony was held this morning at the new facility on L.B. McLeod Road in Orlando. Waste management officials say the new $24 million space is capable of processing up to 125,000 tons of construction and demolition material a year.
Recycling is so important. Again, we're diverting material from the landfill. So at any construction and demolition site, we can accept cardboard, wood, concrete, and turn that into new products.
Happy they are on the job. Waste Management says it's part of a more than $1 billion investment in 39 new and upgraded recycling facilities across North America.
Leaders are approving a 6-figure plan to make the walk to an elementary school safer.
What's changing at key crossings and when everything could be finished? That's coming up.
Double check your toll bill. A couple says they're getting hit with someone else's toll violations.
I mean, they've racked up hundreds and hundreds of dollars of tolls, and they're not paying them.
I'm News 6 investigator Erica Bergoglio. Coming up, what to do if this happens to you. I'm meteorologist Julie Broughton, tracking warm temperatures and some spotty showers. Right now, 81 in Orlando, but a front that is well to our north brings changes for the weekend. We'll time it all out coming up.
And as we head to break, we want to remind you to check out our primetime schedule on News 6 Plus. We have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Go in depth as we answer your weather questions at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
A Lake County couple on the hook for hundreds of dollars in tolls. Only one problem. It's not their SUV racking up the violations. I'm News 6 investigator Erica Bergoglio, and they've been fighting to clear this up for months. Boggy Creek?
No.
Cimarron?
No.
Amanda Folks doesn't drive far from her home in Sorrento, so her recent tolls do not make sense. Conway, do you take that way?
No, I do not. I honestly don't even know where Conway is.
Folks and her fiance drive this red Volkswagen SUV, the vehicle listed on this more than $500 ticket for unpaid tolls. But a picture on the same ticket taken from a toll plaza shows a different car.
Looks to me maybe gold, 4-door. I'm a daddy's girl, so I know vehicles. That is a Toyota Camry. I mean, they've racked up hundreds and hundreds of dollars of tolls, and they're not paying them.
These are toll-by-plate charges, so when a driver without a transponder goes through a toll plaza like this one, a camera takes a picture of the license plate, and then that bill is sent to the registered owner. But the license plate on these bills is not the one on Folk's SUV. The couple bought the Volkswagen last March with a temporary tag, and now Folks says that tag is the one showing up on bills for a different car.
We're going to be put on the hook financially and financially obligated to pay something that we had no knowledge of until we get these bills.
Folks called the Central Florida Expressway Authority and got $500 in tolls removed. But her calls to FDOT and SunPass, silence.
I said, okay, well, I don't know what else to do anymore. I'm going to call Channel 6.
News 6 emailed the Florida Department of Transportation and the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles after we contacted the agencies. Each says it is now looking into our request. If you receive a wrong toll bill, you can contact the toll agency. You can also fill out this form from Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles to contest the charges. Erica Bergoglio, News 6.
Wow. All right, you may have already noticed this. Allergy season has arrived. A record warm winter combined with dry conditions created the perfect storm for an explosive allergy season. I'm sneezing just looking at this. A report from the Asthma and Allergy Foundation ranked the top 20 worst cities for allergies. The only city in Florida on that list is Lakeland, the 20th spot. The most severe, Boise, Idaho. Doctors recommend taking frequent showers when coming in from outside, keeping windows closed, using HEPA filters on high pollen count days, and do not rub your eyes. I can go do you one better and saying, like, if you walk your pet, of course you have dogs, wipe their feet off because they track it in the house.
That's a good
too.
idea. Yeah. Do you suffer from allergies?
I don't. I've been very fortunate, but sometimes you just get under a tree or something and you will start sneezing.
Julie, you have our pollen forecast for us.
Yes, I have terrible allergies, so I don't even need the pollen forecast to give you the pollen forecast. Unfortunately, no major relief for us. I mean, maybe Orlando didn't make the top 20, but if you are here and you deal with allergies, you know it's been pretty brutal for us. And we are keeping our pollen in the high range all the way through the weekend. We do have some rain in the forecast. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough to wash all that pollen away for us. Of course, you can keep up with all of our changes on our free News 6 weather app. All you have to do is search WKMG in your app store. Here's satellite and radar showing we've seen plenty of sunshine in a lot of spots today. Most of us have been dry. Again, we mentioned a front is coming. That front is to our north right now, but by the weekend, this front drops into central Florida and it is going to bring us some changes. Here's what we're looking at. This is 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. By that time, the front should start to drop to our south, but I want you to notice all these little blue lines. Those are isobars. That indicates how strong our winds are going to be, and notice how close together they are. We're talking about winds gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour at times, and with those strong winds coming in out of the northeast, that will tap into some of that moisture over the Atlantic and help to fuel some showers for us, especially late Saturday and into early Sunday. Then by Sunday, we're looking at highs about 10 degrees cooler than we've seen the last few days. But really, again, the big story with this will be the wind. Look at the wind forecast. So on Saturday at noon, we're talking about winds around 22 miles per hour in the villages, staying elevated all day into the evening hours. Cocoa Beach, you're looking at 29 mile per hour winds possible. And then even as we head into the day on Sunday, as our winds shift out of the east, we are still looking at pretty windy conditions. So beach and boating, not the best bet this weekend. We do have a high risk of rip currents in place right now. Conditions will continue to deteriorate. In fact, for Saturday and Sunday, we already have a gale watch posted for our off the coast of Central Florida. Here's what it looks like for you right now on the radar. Again, most of us are dry. We have been watching some of those showers moving inland. And if you're lucky enough to be getting a little shower right now, of course, it's along I-4 and Lake Mary down toward Winter Springs, Altamont Springs. Also some showers back down toward Oak Ridge. These are continuing to push inland, dropping some heavy rain at times, not producing any lightning. Clouds and rain forecast showing overnight will be dry. I do think we'll see the potential of some fog overnight. And then tomorrow we'll see some of those isolated showers. So right now in downtown Orlando, we are sitting at 81 degrees. Daytona Beach, surf churned up. Again, high threat of rip currents. So please be careful if you are heading out to the beach. Here's how it looks for us as we take you through the next 7 days. Overnight tonight, we fall back to 65. Tomorrow, even if few degrees warmer out ahead of that front, up to 88 degrees Saturday. Still make it into the 80s before that cooler air builds in for Sunday. Again, windy this weekend, and then we gradually warm back up as we head into next week.
Julie, thank you. A year after we first noticed safety concerns, the fix is finally moving forward near an elementary school.
It's worth the money and it's worth our children.
The plan to fix dangerous sidewalks and the changes parents can expect, that's next.
Y'all are observant out there. Why are some police cars have their lights lit on it and a steady burn? So if you've ever noticed a police car driving around with its lights on, but not flashing, yeah, you're not being pulled over, so relax a little bit. Those are actually called cruise lights. Think of them as a like, hey, I'm here mode. They're steady burning lights that officers turn on to increase visibility, especially at night or in like high volume areas. It's all about presence, right? Because when you see a patrol car, guess what actually happens? People slow down, put the phone down, and suddenly remember how to act respectfully. Now, here's the key. Cruise lights are not emergency lights. No flashing, no siren happening, no special action needed. That officer is just on patrol, keeping an eye on things and making sure everyone gets where they're going safely, all while remaining visible. So the next time you see that steady glow happening behind you or parked on the side of the road, do not panic. Please, just take a friendly reminder to drive right, because we're in sight. If you got a traffic safety question you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
Winter Park leaders are moving forward with a long-awaited project to make it safer for kids walking to an elementary school.
Commissioners approved a $717,000 contract to build new sidewalks and add safety upgrades near Hungerford Elementary. Winter Park city leaders decided on the funding because it has an agreement with Eatonville. The project is part of the Florida Department of Transportation's Safe Routes to School program. It's designed to help more kids walk or bike safely. We first told you a year ago about a push for improvements, even speaking with crossing guard Linda McKnight. News 6's Mark Lehman caught up with her once again.
Yeah, last year, the sidewalk still ain't done yet. Like last year, we needed double time this year. It would be nice for them to come in with the project and redo all the sidewalks in Eatonville and make it more safer for the students and the pedestrians.
Upgrades include wider sidewalks, driveway reconstruction, resurfacing, updated markings, and 2 flashing beacons at key crossings. The expectation is that the work will be finished by the fall. Love to see that happening. News 6 at 5 is next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
We continue to follow some breaking news. James Duckett, a man who was sentenced to death, has his execution stayed. What we're learning about that tonight. Plus, the state's attorney general going after the NFL, why he says one rule used for hiring head coaches is unfair. And in need of a win, the Magic looking to bounce back as the playoffs get closer. A live preview from the Kia Center with sports director Jamie Say. Your forecast is only minutes away. Don't forget you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this look at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus. We'll be right back.
Breaking right now at 5. The execution of a former police officer could be postponed. The rare motion and the potential evidence at the center of it.
What's scary is that until suddenly this whole thing blows up, is that they were willing to let me run up and down those stairways all I wanted.
Plus, apartments in Seminole County evacuated due to bad stairwells. Now officials say the stairs are far from the only problem. The other issues uncovered in a newly released report. You're watching News 6 at 5.
Well, starting off, Florida's highest court stepping in tonight to pause the execution of a man convicted of raping and murdering an 11-year-old girl. A pause that could turn out to be short-lived.
News 6's Mike Valenti joins us now in the newsroom. And Mike, this is a notable issue, but may not end up changing the outcome.
Yeah, Lisa, Matt, the Florida Supreme Court very rarely grants stays of execution. In this case, James Duckett had been scheduled to die next Tuesday, an execution that we are scheduled to witness, and it might still go forward. This boils down to DNA testing. The evidence that is being tested is a swab collected from the clothing of the victim here, 11-year-old Teresa Maccabee. Former mascot officer James Duckett was convicted in the 1987 murder of Maccabee, but Duckett has sought DNA testing that his team claims could prove his innocence. And the state did not oppose that motion, even acknowledging the evidence could be potentially exculpatory. So the Supreme Court here is saying the state of Florida cannot execute Duckett until those DNA results are back. The court ordered that the state shall provide a report addressing the status of the DNA testing no later than tomorrow, Friday, March 27th at 5 p.m. Now, we already had that day circled on our calendars because the deputy director of forensics at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement told a circuit court judge earlier this month that the DNA results were due back no later than March 27th, tomorrow. So again, this does not mean that Duckett will be executed Tuesday, and it also doesn't mean he won't be executed Tuesday. So we're really in ambiguous territory until we get those DNA results that we're supposed to be getting tomorrow, guys.
Mike Valenti, thank you for your work on that. As that deadline approaches, we will have the latest on James Duckett. You can get the latest breaking news sent right to your device by downloading the News 6 app. On our homepage, you'll find an article right there. All right, taking a live look at our Launch Credit Union Port Cam. This is at Port Canaveral. Spotty showers throughout the day. Nice cool down headed into the weekend.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous from that vantage point. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagis is tracking what's in store for tonight. I know my family saw some showers in Orlando earlier today, Jonathan.
Yeah, a couple of them around for sure. We have one or two straight downpours in the mix right now, and it's pretty much hanging out right over Seminole County right now, moving into northern Orange County, just to the east of us in Apopka. Pretty much taking the 429 or paralleling the 429 right down I-4 there. You see Altamont Springs on the west side of town anyway, closer to the 434 split. That's where we're seeing some of the heavier rain. Winter Springs, good evening. We're on the drier side now. Some darker clouds back off towards our west. Sanford, we have a downpour bubbling up just right on top of us. There's not much going on. We talked about this yesterday. The rain chances as a whole only going to be about 20%, and that's pretty much where we're at right now. We do have a couple of downpours hanging along the I-75 corridor. Those will continue to push west. Bigger system to our north, that is going to change things up pretty big time over the weekend. We're going to talk about what that means for your weekend forecast, guys, coming up at about 5:17.
Jonathan, thank you. Now at 5, structural concerns at 2 separate apartment complexes, one in Orange, one in Seminole, dozens in limbo, forced to find somewhere else to stay, while engineers determine whether or not it's safe to go back.
We have a crew at the Pebble Creek at Lake Mary apartment complex in Seminole County, where a newly released report is detailing some dangerous discoveries there.
But we begin with the Rialto in Orange County, where neighbors have not been able to return to their units for a week.
News 6's Alex Cook is live at the complex. It's off Sand Lake Road. And Alex, you got your hands on a letter that residents received from management.
That's right. And those residents that have been evacuated for a week still have to keep living their lives. They have work, school, families, kids, and they have to deal with all that while being homeless. That letter from the Rialto management sent out yesterday says that they expect the engineers to take more time with their work, and so they're going to help these residents find new places to live. But I spoke to someone today who says that the offers the management is offering won't work for her.
That's my life now. I'm homeless.
1 week after people were forced out of their homes at the Rialto apartments, they're still coming back, hoping to get some of their things and some answers. They tell me they submit lists of what they need, then wait for Rialto staff to go inside and bring those items out. Ana Gomez came back Thursday to pick up some of her belongings.
You think like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until I get home. If you have a difficult day or whatever, even a vacation, sometimes you say, I can't wait to go home, but I don't have a home to come back. So it's been like really like crazy.
Rialto management sent residents an update Wednesday saying engineers have informed them the timeline for their work will be further extended. The company also says it expects to share more information in the coming days about lease terminations, relocation help, and moving belongings. Gomez told me management offered her a move to another property near Lake Eola in downtown Orlando for the time left on her lease. But she says that does not work for her.
Just too far, the traffic is too crazy. I have a 10 years old. All his life, school, sports, is all by here, so I cannot do that.
Gomez says she appreciates that Rialto staff has been helping people get their belongings back, but she told me that's the least displaced tenants should expect.
This is the bare minimum. It's not like they're like overdoing anything. It's just like common sense.
She says she's not ready to assign blame before engineers do their work and release their report on exactly what went wrong in this building. But she says someone messed up somewhere, and she's the one facing the consequences.
This is not normal. So something wrong is going on, and it has to be investigated.
And that letter from the Rialto to residents did say that more updates are coming soon, so we're staying in touch with those people, and we will share those updates as the apartment complex sends them out. But for now, live in Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
Alex, thank you. Tonight, we're also learning new details about a lawsuit that has been filed over the conditions at the Rialto apartments. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest is digging into the paperwork, some of the shocking new claims. He'll have much more coming up on News 6 at 6.
The Department of Justice is taking a local theme park to court. United Parks and Recreation, the company that runs SeaWorld, is under scrutiny over its ban on wheeled walkers. The lawsuit alleges the policy violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. UPR says the ban stems from misuse and safety-related incidents. And because of the park's varying pathways and terrain, the company says anyone who came with a non-permitted device could get an approved alternative for free. However, feds say that guests must have equal access regardless of ability. The lawsuit seeks to force UPR to stop discriminating against people with disabilities, to change policies to be ADA compliant, and to train staff properly. United Parks and Recreation responded, saying they disagree with the claims and will respond through the legal process. United also says they believe their approach is consistent with ADA requirements and reflects their commitment to providing a safe and inclusive experience.
To Brevard County now, where a water gun is causing quite the stir, even led to an arrest and some pretty hefty charges. Cocoa Beach police called to the Denny's on North Atlantic Avenue at 7:30 Monday night. Two groups of people got into an argument when one of them pulled out what we're told looked like a gun. In reality, it was an all-black water gun. 19-year-old Talon Hall was initially arrested on 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for making the victims think it was real. At his first appearance on Tuesday, a judge changed those charges to 5 counts of simple assault with a $2,500 bond. A jury in Brevard County just awarded more than $14,000 to a victim who was badly hurt after eating ice cream that had pieces of metal and 2 nails in it. According to the law firm who represented the victim, ice cream was brought from a store in Malabar. The victim experienced internal bleeding, had several procedures. One of them resulted in permanent infertility. The trial lasted just over 2 weeks. Also in Brevard County, tens of millions of dollars in new sand continues piling onto your favorite beaches so you can enjoy it.
There is finally an end in sight to major restoration efforts in Brevard County, years after the devastating 2022 hurricane season, including Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Your Melbourne Beach community correspondent James Barbero is at the beach as that work could wrap up soon.
Almost 4 years since 2 major hurricanes damaged Brevard County's coastline, work is still being done to rebuild beaches. Over the last 2 years, the Army Corps of Engineers completed renourishment where I live in Cape Canaveral, all the way south to where I'm at now, where they're set to finish this $50 million project in Indy Atlantic and Melbourne Beach.
Keep all these houses safe and all these businesses safe.
I met Robert Marshall, who works for the contractor, guarding the part of the beach that's closed while all this heavy equipment's on the move. Anybody complaining about the project around here to you?
A couple homeowners complain they can't be on the beach and everything.
Get over it. Kane Greco is not one of those neighbors.
The complaining, I don't agree with.
And neither is this local I met oceanfront. However, there are some who say these projects are a waste because at some point, nature will take back the sand again. The county responds that the beach is the #1 reason people visit Brevard, so it must be restored. It's kind of like a never-ending cycle in this county.
Yes, sir. Just repeats. Yeah, after a hurricane, big storm, whatever, it takes it all out, then we come bring it all back in.
I could see a difference each time it happens. It's a lot of work that they put into it, and it does build our beaches back up.
We need a beach. I love the beach. So if we want to continue walking on the beach and enjoying it, they need to renourish it.
This sign at the beach says the project should be all done next month. And whether this job's close to finally finishing up or not, the workers have to take a break around May, when sea turtle nesting season starts to peak. In Brevard County, I'm your Melbourne Beach community correspondent, James Sparvera, News 6.
It has been a rule in the NFL for years, and now the state attorney general wants it gone.
The threat of a lawsuit against one of the biggest sports leagues on earth. Next at 5, the debate behind the Rooney rule and why many say it's a fight that goes beyond the gridiron.
The NFL draft is over.
Florida's Attorney General is taking on the NFL and one of its most well-known diversity policies. It's called the Rooney Rule, designed to increase opportunities for minority coaches. And it's now at the center of a legal fight right here in Florida.
Yeah, but tonight questions are growing. Does this actually impact people in our state? Or is this a much bigger political battle playing out through sports? News 6 reporter Darrell Baker is breaking down what this could mean and why it is sparking so much debate.
The NFL's use of the Rooney Rule violates Florida law by requiring race-based considerations in hiring.
In a post on X, Florida's Attorney General James Uthmeier calling out the NFL to drop the Rooney Rule, saying it violates state law. But what does that actually mean for people here in Florida? And could it put the state on a collision course with the league?
They could take legal action. It would go into the courts. It might take a while. It might lead to some, controversy between the state and the NFL.
So what just is the Rooney Rule? Well, I can tell you that it was named after late Steelers owner Art Rooney, implemented back in 2003. It requires NFL teams to interview minority candidates for top jobs like head coaches and general managers. At the time, it was created to address the lack of diversity in leadership across the league.
We're demanding the NFL suspend the Rooney Rule, and failure to do so may result in enforcement actions.
And this is sparking a lot of reaction online, hundreds of comments on Uthmeier's post and on our own story. Well, some people are applauding it. There also are some people that are like, why is this necessary? Does this help the people of Florida right now? What are your thoughts when you hear stuff like that?
I mean, it's always interesting when you have politicians getting involved in sports.
UCF political scientist John Hanley says this move fits into a bigger national trend, pointing to actions from the Trump administration targeting DEI programs, and adds that it's not uncommon to see attorney generals go after major companies.
He's never held political office before, so he's trying to get his name out there in a statewide election.
Just last December, Uthmeier announced a lawsuit against Starbucks claiming illegal race-based hiring practices, and the month before that, he sent a letter to Microsoft alleging discrimination against faith-based groups. I reached out to Uthmeier about an update on those cases, as well as asking several questions about their letter against the NFL. If the NFL doesn't comply, then what are the next steps? We have not heard back yet. Here in the newsroom, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
Time now to take a look at your weather. We're getting closer and closer to the weekend, and a lot of people are wondering if they can spend it outside. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, how are we looking right now?
Yeah, looking pretty good right now for most of Central Florida. A little breezy out there. Just a couple of downpours. We're pretty much clinging to I-4 right now. The coast is looking pretty good. We also have another stray downpour closer to the Ocala National Forest, just north of it for sure, just to the west of us in Pearson. You can track these downpours that are out there, and there will likely be a few more downpours tomorrow evening. But downloading the free News 6 weather app will take it closer into Altamont Springs, into Apopka, on the east side of Apopka anyway. This is closer to the State Park, Wekiva Springs State Park, a healthy downpour overhead. No lightning associated with these guys. It just kind of drifts down I-4 tonight. Altamont Springs, just a light rain. Castleberry, Winter Springs, Maitland, we are dry right now. A few light showers hanging around the Orlando metro area, but nothing really to write home about. Certainly not going to help the drought situation by any means. Once we go forward into the afternoon and the rest of the evening, we will see a few stray downpours in the mix still. There's 9 o'clock tonight, most of that by that time pushing towards the I-75 corridor. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, especially in the areas that pick up a few downpours this evening. Watch out for some fog. It will be out there thick in spots like what we've seen the past couple of mornings. They're 6 to 7 o'clock again on your Friday morning. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to do the same thing again. Watch these white clouds bubble back up on your screen. That's the sea breeze trying to ignite. It does a little bit just like today, and we will fire up a few more of those downpours before they fizzle out at about sundown tomorrow evening. 79 right now in Mount Dora. We're at 82 in Leesburg, 84 in Wildwood. Breeze off the coast in Palm Coast, giving us a temperature now into the mid-70s. Now, tomorrow morning, we're going to start things back off into the low to mid-60s again. Should be on the dry side again, but watch out for that fog. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be on the warmer side, mid to upper 80s. Rain chances just like today at about 20% to pop a few of those downpours with the heating of the day as the sea breeze ignites. There is a cool shot here. If you're not looking at your TV screen, this is a live look in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. I showed you that light shower that was out there on radar near the Orlando area. There it is in the background, the darker clouds and that rain shaft behind the buildings. Really cool shot there. 80 degrees under a mainly cloudy sky at the airport. Again, on the north and west side of the city, we have that shower. The breeze out of the east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Then we turn our attention to the weekend. Strong storm system moving through parts of the Great Lakes right now. This is likely going to spark a lot of severe weather through parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. By the time it gets to us, it will be weak, but it's going to help to bring the clouds back and help us turn cooler, especially by the second half of the weekend. So there we go, late Saturday evening into Sunday. You see the green on your screen. Note these white arrows. That's the wind direction. It is going to turn very gusty especially as we get into the afternoon on Saturday. That is going to continue on Sunday. That breeze, again, bringing some Atlantic moisture to keep us locked in the clouds, I think, by the second half of Saturday. And then for most of the day on Sunday, there will also be a couple of scattered showers hanging around on your Sunday as well. Mid-80s on Saturday. First part of Saturday is looking okay. There's the temperature drop back to the low to mid-70s on Sunday. More sunshine by early next work week, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, perhaps you have just received your tax return and there is that temptation to spend that money.
It'll burn a hole in your pocket, but maybe it's better to save it. Hate to be the guy to say that, but up next, Donovan Myrie takes a look at how to get the best out of your return. It's dollars and cents.
Your Thursday evening traffic alert. You're going to need to make sure you're paying attention to this. It's going to be closures along the Florida Turnpike. You're going to see some stuff happening out there, so you need to make sure you're paying attention because you will be detoured at some point. So just be cautious as you're in the northern portions there. And then down here, I-4 between 528 and the Turnpike, those lane closures that we normally see. And then we've seen a full closure of the express lanes overnight as you're traveling westbound approaching 434. But they've been really good at opening them up right before 5. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 Traffic Alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
So far this year, the IRS has received nearly 70 million tax returns. And of those 70 million returns, more than 50 million taxpayers have received a refund, averaging about $3,600. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here to tell us to hit the pause button before spending that extra cash. Jill, I got my cash. I want to spend it. This sounds really counterintuitive.
Thanks. I know, I'm sorry. I mean, first of all, I think when you get a refund, you have to remember that although you feel like you found money, it's your money, gang. You just gave Uncle Sam an interest-free loan for an entire year. That's a pretty lousy deal. So I encourage you, if you get a big refund, and we're talking $3,600 is a big refund, To keep more of that money throughout the year, use the irs.gov withholding estimator. Then you can adjust your withholding at work, and maybe if you're self-employed, you consider reducing your quarterly tax payments.
Okay, Jill, so what should people do with that cash on hand?
I would keep some of that extra cash just to make sure you absorb the shock that you're going to see at the pumps, because that's not going away very quickly. Then maybe you would consider addressing what I call the big three. Number one, fund an emergency account that can cover you if something bad happens, right? Your safety net, if you will. You're hoping to cover 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. Number two, reduce your credit card or other high interest debt. Interest rates are going to stay higher for a while here, gang. Paying off that high interest debt is really going to help you actually get it done faster. Number three, fund your retirement plan. Maybe increase your contribution, especially if you have not reached your match. If you don't have a plan through work, then maybe use that refund to open and fund a traditional or a Roth IRA.
And Jill, out of those big three, you really didn't touch on anything about homes. Should people use their tax returns to help pay down their mortgages? Is that a good idea?
It's like, oh, I feel so much better, the mortgage is going down. But this really depends on your interest rate. And so many homeowners have very low interest rates. More than half have loans under 4%. So really, let's think of it this way. You put that money down on your mortgage, but instead of doing that, if you invested it, my guess is that over time, you would probably earn more than that 4% mortgage.
Excellent advice, Jill, as usual. Thank you. You can see Jill regularly on CBS Mornings and the CBS Evening News. And for more analysis, head on over to JillOnMoney.com.
Well, the construction of a church in Winter Garden has a lot of people talking.
Yeah, and now it has been approved to begin. Coming up, from traffic to noise, members of the community speak with News 6 about their concerns.
And new details surrounding an evacuated apartment complex in Seminole County. Tonight, a new report finds even more issues that went undocumented.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We are following several top stories for you right now.
In an extremely rare move, the Florida Supreme Court paused the execution of James Duckett until new DNA evidence is tested. There's a testing deadline of 5 p.m. tomorrow. The former Mascot police officer was convicted in the rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl in 1987. James Duckett was scheduled to be executed by lethal injection at 6 Tuesday evening.
Work is still being done to rebuild Brevard County's beaches after 2 major hurricanes damaged the coastline almost 4 years ago. Over the last 2 years, the Army Corps of Engineers finished renourishment in parts of the area. Now they're set to finish a $50 million project in Indy Atlantic and Melbourne Beach.
In Orange County, Rialto residents have not been able to return to their units for a week after they were evacuated from their apartments due to the county deeming the apartment building unsafe. Rialto management says engineers still are not finished investigating and need more time. Meantime, residents tell us they are submitting lists of what they need, then wait for staff to go inside and bring those items out.
Meantime, a similar nightmare playing out for some of our neighbors in Seminole County. That's where an apartment complex of Creekwater Terrace is being described as, quote, dangerous and non-occupiable. That's according to findings report prepared by county building inspectors who say every building needs to be evaluated by a structural engineer.
News 6's Mike Valenti was at that complex today.
The stairwells received a lot of scrutiny in this report. 53 stair systems, just like this one, tagged as dangerous due to potential structural failures.
Poor management in the sense of ongoing maintenance.
We met Jennifer Falter not long after we obtained this findings report detailing structural and life safety concerns at the Pebble Creek at Lake Mary apartment complex.
I was 2 days away from signing a new lease, so luckily I didn't sign it when this all happened.
2 days after she learned she had to evacuate her second floor apartment, Falter was wondering Thursday if she goes up to get her stuff, are the stairs gonna just collapse?
What's scary is that until suddenly this whole thing blows up, is that they were willing to let me run up and down those stairways all I wanted.
Nearly every building's stair systems, the report says, and the second floor landings and raised floor system show signs of inadequate maintenance, disrepair, and deterioration due to age. And 2 entire buildings, 717 and 725, were deemed dangerous. Discoveries that were only made because the fire department responded to a fire last month at one of those buildings after apartment employees were apparently doing unpermitted welding work on one of the stair systems. Wednesday night, Falter said she received this message from apartment management.
I start by saying, we would like to thank you for your patience and understanding during this emergency. I want to stop there first, because do you think that's an accurate characterization of how people are feeling?
No, I think we're all at our wits' end. The update was simple fluff about that we have rehoused who we could and, trying to make sure people have a roof over their heads.
Still no timeline on when people like Jennifer Falter can move back into their apartments. Falter told me the apartment complex offered her 1 week's worth of rent credit. Meanwhile, she has found another place to rent, and we are still waiting to hear back from apartment management. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti, reporting in Seminole County. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, after much debate in Winter Garden, a church just got the green light to begin construction, and the decision came after a lot of mixed opinions. That church is planned to be built in the Lake Avalon rural settlement near McKinney Road and Rex Drive. Your West Orange County community correspondent Talisa Hampton spoke with people about the change coming to the area.
Well, take a look at all of this land with the church getting approved to be built on it. We heard a number of concerns about the size, the possible traffic, and what it could also mean for the future of this community. It's the peace and quiet of open space that draws people to this rural community.
I lived here for 7 years, and now I'm a property owner here. And we purchased out here. We invested out here specifically for the character that it has and that it brings.
But in the Lake Avalon rural settlement, this week's Orange County Commission vote has some worried changes coming.
To destroy that character when the county has committed to us that they will preserve it damages the value that I bought.
In a 5-2 vote, the board approved Discovery Church's request to build a religious institution on this unaddressed location along McKinney Road, but reduced the size from about 45,000 to 42,000 square foot.
The building is still the size of a big box store. It's hard to swallow. It's going to be very difficult to make that fit work. And
I believe the church made a really significant effort and time and also, financial challenges to change the plan.
After being denied in 2022, the church says it met with many community members and made changes, including one main building and adding green space.
Preserving a piece of area behind the church, then putting in a big landscaping buffer, making a lot of the property not built at all on. The size was always the one bone of contention.
They've listened to neighbors, heard our concerns, and looked for ways to grow alongside us, not over us.
However, size and traffic remain concerns.
And you see the roads out here, many of them are dirt. They are not built for that kind of volume.
The traffic is in that Sunday morning window when services are on, and our turnover is pretty fast.
Some also worry this could open the door to more development.
Approving even one mega facility will have far-reaching consequences. It will trigger additional applications.
And those with the church say with the changes made to the square foot in the hearing that before permits and construction starts, they're really committed to making those adjustments and talking more with the community. Reporting for News 6, I'm your West Orange County community correspondent, Tylisa Hampton.
Well, the NBA playoffs are approaching fast, and right now the Orlando Magic are on the outside looking in, currently a 10 seed in the East. And on a 6-game losing skid, the Magic need a big win tonight. News 6 Sports Director Jamie Say live outside the Kia Center, where every win at this point is crucial, Jamie.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. We know that injuries have taken a toll on this season that began with very high expectations, but you could call it a letdown, especially at this point of the season. However, winning cures so much, and the Magic have to start winning now. Like you said, Matt, the Magic have dropped 6 in a row. Losing 6 straight at this point of the season is alarming because teams really do want to start playing their best basketball right about now because the playoffs are just weeks away. The Magic have not been playing basketball that has been winning games recently. Some of their losses, though, have been close. However, a 1-point loss counts just as much as a double-digit loss. They've experienced a little bit of everything, too. They've lost to good teams in the Lakers and the Thunders, and they've lost to bad teams like the Indiana Pacers. Tonight, they face another one of those bad teams, Sacramento. The Kings have the worst record in the Western Conference. The Magic know they can win tonight by shoring up the defense and playing with urgency from the get-go.
Some of these games have come down to one bounce here, one bounce there, but it starts in that first quarter. It starts with not giving up 40 points in the quarter.
We can't really focus on that losing streak. Don't even think about it too much. Understand that these last 10 games is do or die every game.
You can't help but look at the standings a lot of ways, but it's also an opportunity to say we control a lot of this, and it's how we decide to play.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, the Magic had climbed to 5th place in the Eastern Conference. Right now, they're 10th. However, the good news is that they're only 2 games out of 6th place, which would get them out of the play-in tournament. But again, they have to start winning games. They've got 10 games left in the regular season. Magic have to win them starting tonight against the Sacramento Kings at 7 o'clock. I'll have highlights from the Kia Center and reaction from the Orlando Magic tonight on the late news on News 6. Live at the Kia Center, I'm Jamie Say, News 6. Matt, Lisa, back to you.
All right, Jamie, thank you. And from the hardwood to the diamond, it's opening day across Major League Baseball. Central Florida will be represented by dozens of players, including Winter Park's Logan Gilbert, who will be taking the mound tonight for the Seattle Mariners. Gilbert went to Wekiva High School, then played collegiate at Stetson. The Mariners take on the Cleveland Guardians tonight at 10:10 p.m. This weekend, you have a chance to enjoy some local craft beer and help some animals.
It is the 14th annual Pints and Paws Festival in Sanford. And if it's animals, Trooper Steve is there on tonight's Trooper Steve on Patrol. He spoke with the event's organizer, who is celebrating a huge milestone this year.
So over 14 years, technically 15, how much money have we raised?
This year we will eclipse $1 million. So it's,
okay.
We're at like 965,000 right now.
That's a smile, brother.
Yeah.
More than I love safety, I love animals. And when I got asked to be a part of this, I was on board. But now, even more this year, $1 million in cash. You're talking beneficial cash going right back here. And these aren't just like you're sending it up to some corporate mega cloud and you don't know where the money went.
That's
this
correct.
is going right here to our backyard.
This weekend's event will also have animals up for adoption and, of course, some great local food. It all kicks off on Saturday at 11 a.m. in downtown Sanford. Admission is $50 in advance, 60 day of. You can hit the road with Trooper Steve on patrol weekdays at 2:30 in the afternoon and 8:30 at night on the new 6 Plus streaming app for your smart TV or clickorlando.com. With less than a week away until the launch of the Artemis 2, many people will be traveling to the Space Coast to see it in person.
You may not have to be in Brevard County to experience the launch. Up next, we're launching your senses. How far you'll be able to see and feel the Artemis 2 mission.
We are tracking just a couple of downpours, pretty much stationary, hanging around the I-4 corridor from about Longwood, Lake Mary, south of Sanford, down to the Orlando metro area. We'll talk about where these are headed and look ahead to your weekend that could be on the gray side, coming up at about 5:47.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings. Well, tonight, as of right now, launch of the world's most powerful operational rocket is just under 1 week away. The Artemis 2 mission should take 4 astronauts around the moon and deeper into space than anyone has gone.
The roar and rumble of the rocket's engines will shake the Space Coast, but as News 6's Eric Von Enken found out, you do not need to be in Brevard County to catch all the sights and sounds. In fact, you could be dozens of miles away and still get a taste of it.
Now, we're talking about distance. There are a lot of other variables to consider. We'll talk about those in a minute. But for right now, the distance from where I'm standing here at Crane's Roost in Altamont Springs is exactly 45 miles from here to to the launch pad where that mega rocket is sitting. And one rocket scientist we talked to about this thinks that that distance might just be close enough to hear it.
And liftoff.
The space shuttle, the most complex but not the most powerful human-rated spacecraft ever built, still rumbled and roared off the launch pad and shook the parking lot at the Kennedy Space Center so hard that car alarms went off. The sound of the shuttle traveled as much as 35, even 40 miles inland if the wind was right.
I would expect that the SLS would be, go a few more miles, maybe another 5 miles or so. So, let's say 45 miles. The rocket would be well into the sky by the time the initial sound would be heard that distance.
Florida Tech Associate Professor of Aerospace Engineering, Dr. Mark Archambault, says it is theoretical, but it's possible that the sound of the SLS could reach as far as 45 miles away from Launch Pad 39B. Drawing a straight line from 39B, that's right at the edge of downtown Orlando. It's also 45 miles to DeBerry and the edge of Orange City. St. Cloud is 46 miles away, Daytona Beach is 45 miles, and so is Grant Valcaria, just south of Palm Bay.
It sounds like you're saying it's possible if everything lines up. If you were in maybe downtown Orlando on top of a building where nothing was obstructing you, where you could actually see it, you might be able to hear it there, maybe?
You'd have to listen very carefully. It's not going to be something that it's going to be obvious. It's going to be, especially in the city.
Because any surrounding noise would probably drown out the faint sound of the rocket. It also matters what is between you and the launch pad. In other words, buildings are going to react differently than trees. Your best bet may be go up high in an apartment building to get a clear line of sight. And then we need to hope that the weather holds so you can actually see it as well as hear it.
In Altamont Springs, Eric Von Anken, News 6.
Oh, the weather will be so important.
It will.
Yes, in 6 days from now. But tonight we're looking at what's on the radar right now. And we do have some rain out there right now, Jonathan.
Yeah, just a couple of downpours. Most of us are dry through the evening. We were talking about this yesterday. There will be a few downpours bubbling up with the heating of the day. And right now they're just chilling around the I-4 corridor, Altamont Springs. We've been hanging out with you guys for the last 20 minutes or so, watching this cell working its way down I-4 Winter Park. Good evening on the west side of town. Take you a little closer here, closer to Eatonville and Maitland. That's where we have some of the rain, that darker red indicating the heavier downpour. No lightning associated with these tonight. Not enough oomph in the atmosphere, if you will, to get these going. Oak Ridge, just south of Orlando, closer to the airport. Another light shower hanging around. We've taken a live look at that one in the background with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam just a little bit ago. The rain not helping the drought. We need a lot more where that came from. Here is the latest, and as expected, no positive changes in the drought monitor. What we have seen here is that rust color expand. That's the highest you can get. That's the exceptional drought. Nobody in Central Florida under that just yet, but it has crept further south into Alachua County, just in the north and west of Gainesville. We're still in that extreme drought, level 4 out of 5 there for us in Marion County, Northern Lake, Volusia, and Palm Coast. Obviously, we need a lot of sustained rain. These downpours that we've gotten over the past couple of weeks, every now and then, they just don't help to sustain the soil moisture, and that's what we really need the help with. Here's a live look outside Port Canaveral. No rain in this shot. Lovely blue skies out there. It's a live look with our Launch Credit Union camera. Air temperatures back into the upper 70s right now. We're at 73 in Palm Coast, 83 in Groveland, 80 in Orlando. Oviedo, good evening. We are checking in at 79 degrees. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Temperatures tomorrow morning starting off in the low to mid 60s. Watch out again for some thick fog in spots, especially where we get the rain this evening. And it's not going to be many spots, but that fog will still be widespread at times. 87 in Fruitland Park tomorrow afternoon. We're at 81 in Daytona Beach, Winter Springs. Good evening. We're back to 86 degrees tomorrow. Just a 20% shot for a few of these downpours popping back up. Then we're going to fast forward into the weekend. I think it starts pretty nice, and then we go downhill, at least in the cloud cover department, with some scattered showers around. Here's midnight on Saturday. There's the front coming through early. Now here's lunchtime on Saturday. The front is to our south. Note these white lines on your screen here. That's the wind direction. It's going to help to pump in some Atlantic moisture, and you're going to notice the clouds in white there really begin to increase. Also a few scattered showers, especially along the coast. Not to mention, the wind is also going to crank up. It is going to be quite gusty Saturday afternoon and then through the day on Sunday. So it's likely going to be the second half of the weekend. It's going to be on the windy side, on the gray side, and for some, especially along the coast, on the damp side as well. Look at the wind gusts. This is going to be Saturday into Sunday. You see it just coming in from the east. Wind gusts at times along the coast, 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, more like 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts inland. So it's going to be kind of rocky this weekend. 86 with a 30% shot for a few showers on Saturday, just a 20% chance on Sunday. But we do turn cooler behind that front, guys, with highs in the mid 70s.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, ownership of the Sunrail system will be changing.
Instead of being run by the Florida Department of Transportation, it will be managed by 4 counties in the city of Orlando. Up next, News 6 caught up with riders who tell us the things they want to see changed with the new funding.
Sunrail will soon be in the hands of local governments. I'm your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, reporting here at the Tupperware Station in Kissimmee. Osceola County is one of the 4 counties that will be taking control of Sunrail by the end of 2027, along with Volusia, Orange, and Seminole, and the city of Orlando. Right now, FDOT is the owner, and they're passing its final budget as the owner of Sunrail before local governments take over. Since its first ride, Sunrail has been a lifeline for many.
It takes me an hour to get from my location on the bus, but on the Sunrail it's only 30 minutes.
From the start, FDOT has owned Sunrail, making decisions and setting budgets with state funding. But some people feel it's been limited. Right now, the Sunrail won't get you to the airport. It doesn't go to the attractions in Central Florida, and there are no routes on the weekend. Building the Sunshine Corridor to connect Sunrail to MCO and the attractions will cost over $4 billion. For normal operations, each government will pay a share of the cost based on ridership. To prepare for the transition, the soon-to-be owners have approved millions in funding to manage the rail system that goes from DeLand to Point Siena. Last year, Seminole County approved $11.5 million to cover its portion,
and Volusia pledged $1.2 million. While it's going to take a lot of money to make major changes, riders want to see more options.
Maybe like one more ride, because sometimes I like to stay at campus to do extra stuff.
But they want to be kept in mind, especially when it comes to ticket prices.
You know, just think about like the everyday person going on the train.
As FDOT passes its final budget as owner of the Sunrail system, those local governments are continuing to figure out what their daily operations will look like, what improvements they'll even be able to make, and how they'll continue to come up with money for it, as FDOT will no longer be contributing. Reporting in Kissimmee, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we are working on for News 6 at 6.
A rare ruling tonight from the state Supreme Court. Coming up, we're looking into why an execution was put on pause and what's next, as an important deadline for evidence is now less than 24 hours away. Plus, this is a live look over downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. Your forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas just moments away. We will be right back. A rare ruling by the state Supreme Court, why a judge paused the execution of a former mascot cop convicted of murder. It's been 1 week since people were forced out of an apartment building in Dr. Phillips. Now, a new letter from management suggests they may not be returning home anytime soon.
I can't wait to go home, but I don't have a home to come back, so it's been really crazy.
Plus, the first steps in legal action. And
I said, okay, well, I don't know what else to do anymore. I'm going to call Channel 6.
A Lake County couple turning to News 6 investigators after they were stuck with a toll bill for a car they don't own. News 6 at 6 starts now.
Developing tonight, Florida's highest court is stepping in tonight to pause the execution of a man convicted of raping and murdering an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah, a pause that could turn out to be short-lived. News 6's Mike Valenti joins us now live in the newsroom. And Mike, this is notable, but may not change the outcome of all of this.
Yeah, Ginger, Matt, that's right. It's notable because the Florida Supreme Court very rarely grants stays of execution. In this case, we're talking about James Duckett. He had been scheduled to die next Tuesday, an execution that we are scheduled to witness, and it might still go forward. At the center of this is DNA testing. The evidence is a swab collected from the clothing of the victim, 11-year-old Teresa Maccabee. Former mascot officer James Duckett was convicted in the 1987 murder of Maccabee, but Duckett has sought DNA testing that his team claims could prove his innocence. The state did not oppose that motion, even acknowledging the evidence could be potentially exculpatory. So the Supreme Court here is saying the state of Florida cannot execute Duckett until those DNA results are back. The court ordered that the state shall provide a report addressing the status of the DNA testing no later than tomorrow, Friday, March 27th at 5 p.m. Now, just about an hour ago, I got off the phone with a prominent veteran defense attorney here in Central Florida. He said that after reviewing the order granting the stay, he does not envision Duckett being executed Tuesday. Again, he's not related to the case, but he just wanted to review it for purposes of relaying the story. Even if the DNA comes back tomorrow and proves to belong to Duckett, that attorney I spoke to suggested Duckett's defense team will try to exhaust all their options even after the DNA question is settled. Ginger?
Mike Valenti reporting live in the newsroom. Mike, thank you. Now, this has been a story we have been following for years. You can read more about it right now and see our full reporting on this story by going to clickorlando.com. You'll see it right there on the homepage.
Right now, we need to get a check of your weather. We have had some showers happening today. The question is, what's going on with the rest of the evening? Jonathan Kagas.
Yeah, I think we're pretty dry the rest of the night for most of us. There's one spot, we talked about this yesterday, that there would likely be a few spots on the radar with bubbling up with some action. And we have it hanging around I-4. This guy's been pretty stationary for the last hour or so. They've been tracking this alongside you. Just south of Sanford, closer to Lake Mary and Heathrow, we have a heavier downpour now on the west side of Winter Springs. We were talking about you guys in Eatonville and Maitland a little bit ago. It's kind of intensified a little bit in terms of how heavy the rain is. Darker reds and purples indicate that. There's still no lightning with this. We may pop a quick lightning strike or a rumble of thunder, but nonetheless, this is not going to really amount to much as it continues to meander. I'll turn the loop on for you and we'll watch the motion of this as it just kind of meanders around the I-4 corridor today. Some rain falling now in Fairview Shores as it works down Pine Hills. Good evening. We're on the drier side at this point anyway, as it slowly works its way down toward downtown Orlando. Rain chance is going to be with us again tomorrow. Very slight, same kind of deal that we were having out there now, to some of the heating of the day downpours. This weekend, this front comes to pay us a visit, and I think it is going to increase our clouds, especially by the second half of Saturday. And then as we get into Sunday as well, we're going to turn windy and a little cooler. We're going to talk about that part of your forecast, guys, coming up at about 6:17.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, today marks 1 week since tenants of the Rialto were forced out of their apartments because of concerns about the building's structural safety.
Today, the first lawsuit against the apartment building's owner has been filed. We have team coverage for you tonight. Alex Cook speaking with neighbors still waiting to return home. But first, News 6 investigator Mike DeForest broke this story about the lawsuit on clickorlando.com today. He joins us now live in the newsroom. Mike, tell us what you're learning.
Well, Ginger, this lawsuit filed by an evacuated tenant accuses the owners of the Rialto of breaching her lease agreements, and she can't live there anymore. The plaintiff believes there are many others in her same position, so this lawsuit seeks class action status. Exactly 1 week after tenants of the Rialto were forced out of their apartments over structural safety concerns, this lawsuit has been filed against the building's owners. Adriana Swissa accuses Northland Rialto LLC and Northland Investment Corporation of breaching the terms of her apartment lease. Swissa says approximately 358 people were forced to leave all personal property in the apartment and had to find new housing, along with incurring relocation costs. The lawsuit includes these photos, which show cracks in the apartment building's exterior and interior walls, ceiling, and floors. Swissa accuses the building owner of violating Florida law that governs landlords. Defendants failed to comply with applicable building codes and failed to maintain the building, walks, foundation, and other structural components in good repair and capable of resisting normal forces and loads, the lawsuit alleges. Swissa notes that her complaint is being filed in the aftermath of the Surfside tragedy, a reference to the collapse of the Champlain Towers South condominium in South Florida nearly 5 years ago, which took the lives of 98 people. While there is currently no indication the Rialto is in imminent danger of collapsing, the lawsuit claims the apartment owner had a duty to ensure the safety of tenants. Now, this lawsuit is seeking damages in excess of $50,000. The owners of the Rialto tell me that they are aware of this lawsuit, but the company does not comment on litigation. Meanwhile, today, some of the tenants began returning to the Rialto to pick up their belongings, and they received an update from apartment management. News 6's Alex Cook has that part of our team coverage.
The people forced to evacuate their homes here a week ago still have to keep living their lives. They have work, school, kids, families, and they have to deal with it all without knowing where they're going to live. Rialto management here did send out a letter yesterday to residents saying that the engineers need more time to figure out just what's going on, and while that work is being done, no one's going to be allowed back in, so they're helping them find somewhere else to live.
That's my life now. I'm homeless.
1 week after people were forced out of their homes at the Rialto apartments, they're still coming back, hoping to get some of their things and some answers. They tell me they submit lists of what they need, then wait for Rialto staff to go inside and bring those items out. Ana Gomez came back Thursday to pick up some of her belongings.
You think like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until I get home, but I don't have a home to come back, so it's been like really like crazy.
Rialto management sent residents an update Wednesday saying engineers have informed them the timeline for their work will be further extended. The company also says it expects to share more information in the coming days about lease terminations, relocation help, and moving belongings. Gomez told me management offered her a move to another property near Lake Eola in downtown Orlando for the time left on her lease. But she says that does not work for her.
Just too far, the traffic is too crazy. I have a 10 years old. All his life, school, sports, is all by here, so I cannot do that.
She says she's not ready to assign blame before engineers do their work and release their report on exactly what went wrong in this building. But she says someone messed up somewhere, and she's the one facing the consequences.
This is not normal. So something wrong is going on, and it has to be investigated.
That letter from the Rialto says to expect more updates soon. We're staying in touch with some of the people that lived here so that when they get those letters, we can share them with you, and we'll keep you updated as well. In Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
Meanwhile, in Seminole County, neighbors are dealing with a similar issue at the Pebble Creek apartments in Lake Mary. County leaders say there were several issues in all buildings at the complex. According to a report from county building inspectors, every building needs an engineer, with 53 stair systems at potential risk of structural failure. The report shows this from poor maintenance, disrepair, and deterioration because of age. This was found after a fire at the apartments last month. Crews did unpermitted welding work on one of the stair systems. Earlier today, we spoke with one of the people who was evacuated.
What's scary is that until suddenly this whole thing blows up, is that they were willing to let me run up and down those stairways all I wanted. I was 2 days away from signing a new lease, so luckily I didn't sign it when this all happened.
There isn't a timeline right now for when neighbors will be able to move back into their homes. We have reached out to the complex but have not heard back.
In Volusia County, new video shows the moment Volusia deputies got to a man they say crashed his car through a fence at the Daytona Beach airport and then drove onto the runway. Investigators say Brian Parker tried to get into multiple planes. Parker is charged with 5 felonies, including DUI, trespassing, and aircraft piracy. A judge denied him bond today. Meanwhile, a construction worker is facing some serious charges tonight over what's being called a twisted prank. Marcos Garcia was arrested yesterday for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Investigators say he walked up to his boss, pushed a nail gun against his back, and then pulled the trigger. Garcia told deputies that the nail gun didn't always work and didn't think it would shoot the nail, even though he said he knew it was hooked up to an airline and worked at least some of the time. Garcia faced a judge today. He's being held on $50,000 bond right now. Well, during Halloween, we were always told to check your candy, right?
But here in the Florida spring, you may need to make sure you're checking your sweet frozen treats. This is a crazy story. A jury in Brevard County just awarded more than $14 million to a victim badly hurt after eating ice cream that had metal pieces and 2 nails in it. According to the law firm who represented the victim, ice cream bought from a store in Malabar, the victim experienced internal bleeding and had several procedures. One of them resulted in permanent infertility. Nearly 4 years after 2 major hurricanes damaged Brevard County's coastline, a massive beach renourishment project could be close to wrapping up. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers rebuilding beaches right now in Melbourne Beach. They've already finished working in Cape Canaveral and South India Atlantic and could be all done next month.
I could see a difference each time it happens. It's a lot of work that they put into it, and it does build our beaches back up.
We need a beach. I love the beach. So if we want to continue walking on the beach and enjoying it, they need to renourish it.
Whether the project wraps up next month or not, the workers have to take a break in May when the peak of turtle season nesting begins. From the beach to the courtroom, a legal battle is taking shape in the state.
Yeah, it's between the state attorney general and the NFL. Coming up, why the AG's office says a hiring rule in the league is against the law in Florida.
Double check your toll bill. A couple says they're getting hit with someone else's toll violations.
I mean, they've racked up hundreds and hundreds of dollars of tolls, and they're not paying them.
I'm News 6 investigator Erica Bergoglio. Coming up, what to do if this happens to you.
Hey, here's what we're working on the CBS Evening News for tonight. Will there be a deal in Washington to pay those TSA agents, get them back to work, get you on your way for Easter spring break? We'll tell you what we know. Also, I do know this. Whatever bracket you have for this NCAA tournament, you are busted, and there's only one person left who is not, an 8th grader in Pennsylvania. All that and more ahead on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
Florida's Attorney General is taking on the NFL and one of its most well-known diversity policies. The Rooney Rule, designed to increase opportunities for minority coaches, is now at the center of a legal fight right here in Florida. But does this actually impact people in our state, or is this a much bigger political battle playing out through sports? Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer taking to social media, calling on the NFL to drop the Rooney Rule, saying it violates state law. It was created back in 2003. It requires NFL teams to interview minority candidates for top jobs like head coach and GM. At the time, it was created to address the lack of diversity and leadership across the league. So we wanted to see what this could mean for people in Florida.
They could take legal action. It would go into the courts. It might take a while. It might lead to some, controversy between the state and the NFL.
In December, Othmeyer announced a lawsuit against Starbucks claiming illegal race-based hiring practices 1 month after he sent a letter to Microsoft alleging discrimination against faith-based groups. So we did reach out to the AG's office for an update in those cases. Also, the next steps in the lawsuit against the NFL. We're waiting to hear back. Once we do, we'll let you know. Ginger.
A Lake County couple on the hook for hundreds of dollars in tolls. One problem, though. It's not their SUV racking up all those violations. After fighting to clear this up for months, they turned to News 6 investigator Erica Berguglio.
Boggy Creek?
No.
Cimarron?
No.
Amanda Folks doesn't drive far from her home in Sorrento, so her recent tolls do not make sense. Conway, do you take that way?
No, I do not. I honestly don't even know where Conway is.
Folks and her fiance drive this red Volkswagen SUV, the vehicle listed on this more than $500 ticket for unpaid tolls. But a picture on the same ticket taken from a toll plaza shows a different car.
Looks to me maybe gold, 4-door. I'm a daddy's girl, so I know vehicles. That is a Toyota Camry. I mean, they've racked up hundreds and hundreds of dollars of tolls, and they're not paying them.
These are toll by plate charges, so when a driver without a transponder goes through a toll plaza like this one, a camera takes a picture of the license plate, and then that bill is sent to the registered owner. But the license plate on these bills is not the one on Folks' SUV. The couple bought the Volkswagen last March with a temporary tag, and now Folks says that tag is the one showing up on bills for a different car.
We're going to be put on the hook financially and financially obligated to pay something that we had no knowledge of until we get these bills.
Folks called the Central Florida Expressway Authority and got $500 in tolls removed. But her calls to FDOT and SunPass, silence.
I said, okay, well, I don't know what else to do anymore. I'm going to call Channel 6.
News 6 emailed the Florida Department of Transportation and the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles after we contacted the agencies. Each says it is now looking into our request. If you receive a wrong toll bill, you can contact the toll agency. You can also fill out this form from Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles to contest the charges. Erica Berguglio, News 6.
Some people got the good stuff today when it came to the weather. There were some rainy spots here and there. Not a huge difference maker. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joining us now. Is most of it gone?
Yeah, most of it. Just one little downpour remains for us. And it's pretty much in the same spot we've been talking with the last couple of hours. Pretty much right over Orange County, leaving Seminole County down I-4. It's just meandering here with some heavier downpours. Certainly, it's very nice if your yard happens to be right in this area, in between Lockhart, Altamont Springs on the east side of Apopka, closer to Wekiva Springs State Park, also closer to UCF. Another little downpour starting to pop back up closer to the Florida Turnpike this evening. Otherwise, though, most of us, as we were talking about yesterday, are on the drier side. We'll see the same deal tomorrow with the heating of the day. We'll pop a few downpours. Those will gradually push to the west. So here's 9 o'clock, same deal. Lakeland getting into Bartow. That's where the showers head by that point. Most of us for the rest of the night going to be dry again, with the lone exception hanging north of the Orlando metro area. There we go. Friday morning at about 6 o'clock, commute time into work. Watch out for some patchy fog again. It will be thick in spots, just like we have seen over the past couple of days, and certainly where we're seeing the rain right now on the radar There's 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Watch right along I-95. You're going to see some extra white color start to bubble back up and then meet. That's the sea breeze. It's trying to get going. It almost looks like a summertime pattern, although we do not have the fanfare that comes with it. We're still not there yet in terms of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere needed to support those big-time thunderstorms associated with those heating of the day sea breeze storms. There's 6 o'clock on your Saturday morning. Watch out for a little bit of fog, although we will have a new cold front coming that's going to stir things up and really crank up the winds big time by the second part of Saturday and into Sunday. Air temperatures in Mount Dora are back to the upper 70s right now. Wildwood, good evening. We are at 82. Palm Bay, we're 78, 77 just up the road for us in Melbourne. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
We are back to the low to mid 60s tomorrow. Again, fog is likely going to be out there again on a widespread scale. Mid to upper 80s tomorrow. Rain chances on the lower side again, only at about 20%. Same deal as today as we are working things with the heating of the day. Cool shot here. I've been showing you this look of the storms just to the north of the Orlando metro area. That's a live look with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam, and those dark clouds getting closer as it slowly, that cell I showed you just a few minutes ago, works its way down I-4. We're back to 80 degrees right now. The breeze out of the east-northeast at about 10 miles an hour. For the weekend, though, watching a bigger system. It's right here. It's a cold front. It's sparking a lot of severe weather through the Great Lakes right now. The storm system itself will be much weaker, but as it crosses through, it is going to bring us extra clouds, and it's going to help to crank up the wind. You see it right there, the white lines on your screen. That is the wind direction right off of the Atlantic Ocean, and that is going to allow us to see a couple of showers, especially closer to the coast. This is late Saturday afternoon into Sunday. Wind gusts at times 30 to 40 miles an hour, and it's going to, I think, stay on the gray side as we get into Sunday. There you go, wind forecast lighter tomorrow, and then cranking up to that 20 to 30 mile per hour ballpark inland. Gusts at times around 40 miles an hour on the coast. 30% shot for showers as that front comes through on Saturday. We're in the mid 80s. Behind the front, low to mid 70s, and I think we're on the grayer side, a little more sunshine by the early stages of next work week. We'll be right back.
Here's a look at some of today's top stories. In an extremely rare move, the Florida Supreme Court paused the execution of James Duckett until new DNA evidence is tested. There is a testing deadline of 5 p.m. tomorrow. The former Mascot police officer was convicted in the rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl in 1987. James Duckett was scheduled to be executed by lethal injection at 6 Tuesday evening.
The DOJ is taking a local theme park to court. United Parks and Recreation, SeaWorld's parent company, is under scrutiny over its ban on wheeled walkers. The lawsuit claims the policy violates the Americans with Disabilities Act and seeks to force to change policies to be ADA compliant and train staff properly. United Parks and Recreation says it disagrees with the claims and will respond through the legal process.
A grand opening in Ocala has been generating a lot of buzz on clickorlando.com all day today. A Winn-Dixie is opening Saturday morning on North Pine Avenue. The store is welcoming its first customers at 8, and the first 100 customers in line when the doors open will get a mystery gift card between $10 and $100. This is one of 6 locations opening across the state.
More news coming up at 9 o'clock on clickorlando.com. Have a great night.